not challenge Dr. Beauty. He is the president of the American League. I think he's very short-sighted in them because this doesn't send the message to the pitcher. This young man has had a past experience of throwing at Tino and at others, I understand.
We'll have more on the Yankees and Orioles as they get ready to play tonight at the stadium on Yankees Scorecard, which follows Sports Desk on the MSG network. Reds and Mets, they go again tonight at Shea. Ex-Met Pete Harnisch, he'll start against Dave Malicki. It's a 7:30 start on Fox Sports New York. No Knicks, no Nets, but plenty of familiar names on the All-NBA team.
Coming up for a second straight game, big news gets generated in the Bronx. Oriole pitcher Armando Benitez hits Tino Martinez and a riot breaks out. Today, the aftermath. And another performance by one of baseball's stingiest pitchers, Hideki Irabu of the Yankees. This is the New York City Marriott's Yankee Scorecard. It only happens like this at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. A big event, and the media responds. All the writers, reporters, cameramen, and tape recorders at Yankee Stadium today trying to get as much of a reaction after what happened last night. Sky's looking good, but there is supposedly a threat of rain tonight in the Bronx. It's the Yankees and the Baltimore Orioles for Game 2 of a 3-game series. Good evening, everybody. I'm Al Troutwig. This is the New York City Marriott's Yankee Scorecard for the 20th of May. What should the penalty be when a pitcher takes it upon himself to throw what could be a life-threatening weapon, a 97-mile-per-hour fastball at another player's head? The results of the American League's decision on that issue in a moment. Meanwhile, the Yankees and the Baltimore Orioles will play a little bit more tension-filled Game 2 of this 3-game series tonight. And on the mound, we will see ex-Yankee Jimmy Key, who hasn't won a game in the month of May, simply because the Orioles don't get him enough run support. He'll go up against Hideki Irabu, who in 5 starts has never allowed more than 1 run. His ERA is 1.11, and opponents are hitting 153 against him. So we look forward to seeing how his performance integrates and what the Yankees do to the Baltimore Orioles after last night, when suddenly, in the midst of a great Yankee comeback, the Jerry Springer show broke out. Now we'll show you what happened as the Yankees took on the Orioles, but first, the news of the suspensions. First of all, Armando Benitez gets suspended for 8 games. He's not even in the Bronx tonight. After that, we can tell you that Alan Mills gets suspended for 2 more. He threw a punch to the face of Darryl Strawberry. Darryl Strawberry begins his 3-game suspension tonight and then decides whether he wants to appeal. Graham Lloyd begins his after Strawberry's is served, and Nelson his 2-game suspension after Lloyd's is served, meaning the Yankees will play 8 games now with only a 24-man roster. A little bit more conversation about what could be inconsistencies in the suspension game totals in a moment. But first, here's how it unfolded last night at Yankee Stadium. The Yankees down early because of missed opportunities. Tim Raines grounding into a force out at second base with the bases loaded. Meanwhile, the Orioles were solving David Cone and led 4-1. Scott Brocious tried to score on Joe Girardi's single to center field, and he was thrown out at the plate. So no good fortune for the Yankees on the base paths. In the 8th inning, though, Bernie Williams took Armando Benitez's slider that didn't slide to the upper deck in right field. It gave the Yankees a lead at 7-5, and that's when this happened. Remember, Benitez is not a control pitcher. To think that he put it exactly where he wanted is ludicrous. And when the game resumed after about 15 minutes, Tim Raines added insult to the Orioles by planting Bobby Munoz's pitch into the right field bleachers. So the Yankees went on to win this game by a score of 9-5, and the stadium was jubilant for what they saw. Meanwhile, Joe Torre was incredulous.
They're just so blatant that, Benitez just caused a riot. That's basically what happened. I mean, he came within probably a foot of hitting Tino in the back of the head.
How do you feel about how your team responded to that?
Well, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, we're just out there to defend. And I think what would put an end to this thing, have the pitcher get up there and hit one time. That's the downside to the DH. Is the pitcher gets a little braver when he doesn't have to get up there and face the music.
How about tomorrow and the day after? You think this is going to escalate?
Well, I'm sure it's not going to go away. I mean, not that you're going to look to fight people, but what went on tonight's going to be awfully tough to just forget about, in 24 hours.
I understand he's done that before. That's what I'm hearing. He ought to be suspended for a month. You could really kill a guy the way he threw that ball if you look closely at it.
How do you feel about your team?
How can you feel? We took it right to him. I feel very proud of them, all of them. I guess if you can't win ball games, you got to try to win fights. I guess that's what it is. That's the worst I've seen in 25 years in the game. But that guy, they should take a close look at him and how he threw that pitch. That was terrible. Somebody better do something, or somebody's going to get hurt seriously with a guy like that, with a fastball like he's got. I mean, the ump knew it right away. He threw him, boom, he saw the pitch, and he's out. There was no thought process. Maybe he should have a month to think about it, huh?
What did you say to your team, George?
I said, I'm proud of him.
Well, Tino Martinez is hurt. He arrived at Yankee Stadium today with a huge welt on his right shoulder blade and is unable to lift his arm without pain. So as a precautionary measure, the Yankees sent him off for x-rays. No word yet on what they revealed. Meanwhile, Luis Sojo will start at first base for the Yankees. Martinez will miss his first start of the season. Now, there is prior history. There was a reason for Tino Martinez to be extremely angry last night. In 1995, when with the Mariners, Armando Benitez was on the mound at Oriole Park and watched Edgar Martinez lift that late-inning blast to the outfield seats. And then Martinez was hit. It's an exact replay. And last night, he did the exact same thing after Bernie Williams' home run. He was immediately ejected, and then Benitez defiantly watched Darryl Strawberry step out of the dugout. When he saw that, he said, hey, come on, come on, and the Yankees did. Everyone reacted, and then the Yankee bullpen pitchers came in from their center field perch. David Cohn came out of the locker room. Nelson shoved Lloyd right into a confrontation with Benitez. A lot of punches were thrown, but Benitez connected. Nelson and Lloyd missed their opportunities. Brosha steps away from Benitez, and Darryl Strawberry comes flying in, and the players dangerously hung out at the top of the dugout steps. 2 times, Martinez said to Paul O'Neill, and that's when Joe Torre rescued Darryl Strawberry.
I mean, the guy threw us 97 miles an hour, and if Tino didn't duck, it hit him in the head. And that's pretty dangerous.
Have you ever been moved to fight like that, Graham?
No comment.
Has anything made you that mad in baseball?
No, not before, never. I feel as though I'm pretty mild-mannered, and the situation out there wasn't like that at all.
Well, he had did it before to him a couple of years ago. I think in the same situation, somebody hit a home run, and Tino was up next, and he hit him. So, but you know, I don't think of so much that as well as, you know, took his glove off and, you know, said, "Come on." I mean, you know, to me, when a guy hits someone and then takes his glove off and tells the whole team, you know, "Come on," then that's definitely not what you like to see in a baseball game.
It was ugly. It was ugly. It's not good for the game. It's not good for the game at all, and we don't need this sort of thing.
How frightening was it?
Extremely. I haven't been that frightened in a long time. Haven't been that frightened in a long time. You know, I saw a couple of our players. I saw Darryl in a very bad way with about 4 or 5 guys of the other team on top of him. You know, it was scary.
What sort of ramifications, Dave, do you anticipate here?
I think it's a little early to say. I mean, I don't want to really speculate on what might happen, but it was a very ugly incident, and it's going to take some time to sort through it.
And here's a look at what happened when it got really ugly. Ray Miller was there with his pitcher. That's when Graham Lloyd got involved. Jeff Nelson, too. Now he gets pulled away as Nelson gets withdrawn from the scene. And then Darryl Strawberry comes flying in with a blindside shot to Benitez. Right there. Then Strawberry would be surprised as he waited in the dugout by Alan Mills right there with a right to Darryl Strawberry's chin. Alan Mills sucker punched me. This is not over, said Darryl Strawberry. Paul O'Neill countered with, this is not over. Alan Mills said he's sorry Darryl Strawberry feels that way. B.J. Surhoff and Rafael Palmeiro said, we don't agree with what Armando Benitez did. It was wrong, but he's our teammate. We had to support him. Meanwhile, Benitez gets roughly 5 games for throwing the pitch because, as you can see from the other American League decisions, you get 3 if you throw a punch. But if you get 3 for throwing a punch, why does Alan Mills get 2 when he had the clearest shot landed to the jaw of Darryl Strawberry? As for Graham Lloyd and Jeff Nelson, they threw a lot, but not really much landed. So you really have some inconsistencies here compared to, say, the way the NBA handles it. I spoke to George Steinbrenner about that earlier. George, when I look at how the suspensions were figured out, I'm confused. One guy, Alan Mills, connects on a punch, he gets 2.
Yep.
Darryl gets 3.
Yep.
Benitez throws a punch, so his 3 plus 5 then. I'm figuring out that 5 games is what the American League decided is what you should get when you throw at someone the way they did.
Yeah.
It screams out to me that baseball's got to figure something out and get a policy.
And we got to get a policy that dictates to the people handling out the punishments how they got to handle it. And we aren't doing it. I'm going to bring it up at the next executive committee meeting. If I can keep from getting suspended for something, I'm back on there, and I'm going to suggest to Seelig and Beeston that we put in some more definitive rules. The umpires, they did their job. They threw him right out. But that didn't send any message to him, and 8 days doesn't send any message to him. The beanball's got to be out of baseball. Brushback pitch, one thing. That was no brushback. The umpire saw that, threw him right out. We're not sending a message to guys. Somebody could be seriously maimed. I mean, we don't know the extent of the injury yet, but any such thing as that has no place in baseball. And I say, sit a man down 30 days, give him time to think about it. That's the first warning. And if he doesn't get the message, then out he goes.
Some of your players are saying it's not over. Have you flat out told them that you don't want to see anything?
Well, I told Irabu last night, he's pitching tonight. I hope he didn't try to be stupid and retaliate, because relations between the Orioles and the Yankees are so darn good. We've had great contests through the 25 years I've been in the game. These things will happen. It's unfortunate that one man has been in the middle of it with Tino twice. And that one man threw a home run pitch. That should have been embarrassment enough. He didn't have to do this to be further embarrassed.
Well, that's the big story, obviously, tonight at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. It's going to be Game 2. Will the Yankees retaliate tonight, in the future? We're not sure. But they've called out the military. Now it's just Fleet Week. And the Navy's here tonight. It's the Orioles and the Yankees, and we're going to focus on tonight's game by talking about the starting pitchers in a moment. MSG on the New York City Marriott's Yankees scorecard. A police presence. You never know. When the Orioles meet the Yankees, anything is possible. Last night, 31,000. Another big crowd expected tonight. And I'm Al Troutwig back in our MSG studios. It's the Yankees and the Baltimore Orioles with a little extra tension added in, as I mentioned earlier, because of last night's occurrences. Meanwhile, Ray Miller, the manager of the Orioles, who've now lost 6 in a row, says, obviously last night we saw how the frustrations boiled over into what Armando Benitez did. These Orioles are playing horribly, and with their $70 million plus payroll, you know that something has got to change inside this clubhouse. They're not hitting, they're not scoring runs, and they've lost to the point now where they're in last place in the American League East. The Yankees, meanwhile, are atop the list at 29-9, 20 games above 500. They've got a 4.5 game lead over the Boston Red Sox, whom they'll visit this weekend. The Orioles fall for the first time since 1996 to last place with a record of 20-24, 12 games back. Now tonight it'll be ex-Yankee Jimmy Key going for the Baltimore Orioles and Hideki Irabu pitching for the New York Yankees. And when George Costanza's dad said in the Seinfeld finale to George Steinbrenner, "How could you spend $12 million on Hideki Irabu?" He told us all that he hadn't seen Hideki Irabu pitch this season because Irabu has made 5 starts and given no more than 1 run up in any of them. He's getting his breaking ball over, and of course that legitimizes his zooming fastball. Minnesota Twins, he beat him by a score of 5-1. In the last game, he had a 5-0 lead when he left in the 7th against the Texas Rangers. That was the game the Yankees blew in 13 innings, 7-5. Jimmy Key, his problem is that the Orioles don't score runs for him. In his 3 starts in May, he's given up 3 runs, 3 runs, and 3 runs, and they've lost 6-5, 4-3, and 4-1. Jimmy Key, Friday versus the Devil Rays, went 7 1/3, allowing 8 hits and 3 earned runs. They lost the game, that's what I'm talking about, and he struck out only 2. He's all about control, as we well remember. Meanwhile, Hideki Irabu, Thursday versus the Rangers, put up this line. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits scattered, no earned runs, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts. He has been something. Now tonight, the New York Yankees will send Chuck Knobloch in the leadoff spot. Derek Jeter, followed by Paul O'Neill, Bernie Williams, and Tim Raines, who hit home runs back-to-back last night in the 8th. Chad Curtis, Jorge Posada, Scott Brocious, and Luis Sojo. For the Baltimore Orioles, one of the most impressive things about their batting average is that they are 2-22 when they don't score, or when their opponents score more than 3 runs. And something else, the third baseman tonight, Cal Ripken Jr., will most likely have the 10,000th at-bat of his career. So that sets the stage for the Yankees and the Baltimore Orioles tonight. When we come back, an update from Bill Daughtry at the MSG Sports Desk. Then it's time for Yankees baseball on MSG.
Benitez suspended 8 games. Alan Mills, Strawberry, Lloyd, Nelson, and others will sit out for several games. And best-selling author Tom Clancy has withdrawn his bid to buy the Vikings.
Final news and notes, Ken Griffey Jr. in Coors Field, and Cape Town is being retired to stud after fracturing his left front leg in the Preakness.
That's it for us. Next Sports Center at 11 Eastern on ESPN2, and then after our doubleheader on ESPN. For Jason Jackson, I'm Larry Beal.
And I'm Bob Stevens. Next.
Welcome to Yankee Stadium, the most famous ballpark in America, where the last 2 games have been something else. Sunday afternoon was perfect, thanks to David Wells. Against the Twins, he twirled the rarest of all games. A perfect game for only the 15th time in the history of baseball. Last night, down 5-1 to Baltimore, the Yankees exploded into the lead on Bernie Williams' 3-run homer in the 8th. Then, when Armando Benitez drilled Tino Martinez on the next pitch, the game exploded. Benitez challenged. Graham Lloyd and the Yankees answered. It spilled into the Orioles' dugout, where Darryl Strawberry and Alan Mills threw haymakers. It was nasty.
I guess if you can't win ball games, you got to try to win fights. I guess that's what it is. That's the worst I've seen in 25 years in the game.
Wow. What might we see in the famed ball yard in the Bronx this evening? Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Berman. So glad you could join us on an intriguing evening for Wednesday Night Baseball. Oh, we will not be seeing either Armando Benitez or Darryl Strawberry. Gene Budig, American League president, doled out its suspensions, and Benitez, as expected, gets the biggest one. He'll serve game 1 of his 8-game suspension tonight. After that, Alan Mills will get canned for 2 games. Strawberry serves game 1 of his 3-game suspension tonight. After that, Graham Lloyd will serve 3 games. Jeff Nelson will serve 2 games. The reaction by the American League was swift, and joining me as always is Ray Knight. The reaction by the Yankees was swift last night, too. That said a lot, didn't it?
Well, they've been doing it on the field with their gloves, with their bats, with their arms, and they showed tremendous solidarity last night. As soon as he was nailed in the back, Martinez, they all charged. All the way from the first punches were thrown from the bullpen. Graham Lloyd and Nelson coming from out there, and they responded the way a championship team does. They're behind each other. They're total solid. And just a tremendous ball club, and they were challenged, and they met the challenge the way they should have met it.
Unfortunately, Tino Martinez's back really bruised. It's even elevated. He will not be in the lineup tonight. But the Yankees, it's business as usual. I mean, they just keep on flying to a 29-9 record. As for the Orioles, after a good start, they've lost 22 of their last 32. They're in dead last in the AL East. 12 games behind the Yankees already. We're not even a Memorial Day. I think the Orioles are, embarrassed about not only the way they're playing, but what happened last night. How do they pull up their stirrups this evening, Ray?
Well, Boomer, this is a great ball club as far as talent and as far as professional people. Mike Flanagan was a teammate of mine, pitching coach. He was totally embarrassed by the situation, as were Cal Ripken, Rafael Palmeiro, and the rest of the crew. This team knows how to play baseball, knows how to play it correctly. You had a young pitcher that got caught up in the situation, nailed somebody in the back when he shouldn't have. Their team was playing great. All of a sudden, everything breaks loose. The Yankees not only beat them on the field with their bats and gloves, they beat them off the field. They've got to go out and start playing the kind of baseball that they played in the past and forget about vengeance and trying to hit somebody with a baseball.
Well, I don't think we're going to see any of that tonight, but dare we say it, Ray, Yanks and Orioles, round 2 coming up. ESPN Wednesday Night Baseball is brought to you by Slate's Dress Pants. Time to get dressed. More fireworks tonight. That'll be in the hands of one-time Yankee Jimmy Key and current Yankee Japanese fireballer Hideki Irabu, off to a hot start.
Our Wednesday Night Baseball studios, out to the O's and Yanks in just a sec. Let's start in the National League. Another hot team, the Cubs. They have won 7 of their last 8, getting great pitching and timely hitting. Oh, Henry in the 6th. Rodriguez, his 10th home run of the year. With a man on it, made it 3-zip. And Kerry Wood isn't the only Cub pitcher who has been dominant this season. How about Kevin Tapani? Watch Mondesi go after some high heat, and then Bonilla chases away. He went 0 for 4. Complete game for Tapani. The Cubs' 4th complete game of the season. They had 6 all of last year. The loser is Nomo. He drops to 2-6. Game 2 tonight on ESPN. A's and Angels, series dominated by Anaheim. They have won 13 of the last 14. Ted Hill will go after his 7th win. But now, out to Yankee Stadium. Chris Berman, Ray Knight for the O's and the Yanks.
All right, Ravi, thank you. Well, again, we'll use the word an intriguing ball game tonight here in New York, and the crowd is into it. Certainly Ray Miller was outspoken in his embarrassment, really, for what happened by his young reliever. We'll be talking about that as we go along, and he just wants to get this club going. The Nextel Orioles lineup: Brady Anderson leads off in center field. Jeffrey Hammonds in right field. Roberto Alomar hitting third. Rafael Emerson Lake in Palmero is the cleanup batter. Harold Baines against the righty will be the DH, the left-handed hitter. Cal Ripken hitting sixth. DJ Surhoff hitting seventh. Chris Hoyles behind the plate hitting eighth. Mike Ruhlman-Bordick, the shortstop, hitting ninth. Against, making his sixth start of the season, the right-hander from Japan with the good heat, Hideki Irabu, who in 5 starts has been impressive, Ray, in all 5 of them, and he starts Anderson off with a strike.
He surely has. You see, they're just 2-0, but he has been the best pitcher this New York Yankee ball club has. Only 17 hits in 32 innings.
And he's throwing strikes. There's lots of reasons for why he came up last year and was disappointing, frankly, although he had the heater right away. But part of the problem was his control. You know how overpowering he's been thus far this year? He is not allowed consecutive base hits yet. So if anybody gets a hit, the next man is an out.
Well, we're going to have plenty of time to talk between pitches because this is probably the slowest pitcher in all of baseball as far as getting the ball and delivering it. You see there Brady Anderson hitting 129. Most of that's been the last 5 or 6 ball games. But Irabu has a great fastball, 94-95, a big curveball, a straight changeup, and he's working on a split finger. But you'll watch these very, very slow. His mannerisms are slow, but this ball club has gained a lot of respect for him. Last year he came in not speaking much English. He's learned a little bit of English. He's worked hard. His work ethic has changed. Joe Torre says that his team really respects him, not just because he's pitched well, because his work ethic has changed.
0-2 pitch to Brady Anderson. Brady will stay alive. So Irabu, you know, he was right in the middle of the melee last night. Well, everybody was, but there was one picture, I believe it was in the Times this morning, the New York Times, because that face is so, I mean, you know, there's no question who it is. And he's right there in the middle.
It's a little surprising, too, because in Japan, they don't believe in throwing at anybody over there. It's a disgrace to throw at people in Japan.
Working outside, misses low and away. Dale Ford is the home plate umpire. Ted Hendry at first, Larry Young at second. Drew Coble, the crew chief, is at third, and he was quick with the hook in about 2 seconds last night. He had the plate last night as he threw Benitez out immediately and was lauded by everybody involved. Well, even they had to wait to see if there was motions between the batter and the pitcher. You're out before anything happened.
Well, there was no doubt about that pitch. When you throw the pitch that far up and in, as you see Tino Martinez there, and you've got the report on what he's done.
Good to see him smiling.
Yeah.
Well, here's Tino's report. Hematoma of his back and chest, day to day. X-rays were negative, which is good. A little broken bat flare behind second base. It's going to be trouble. O'Neill coming on, can't get it. It bounces away from him, and Anderson is going to try for 3. He's going to make 3. Maybe these are sort of the breaks that the Orioles have been looking for ever since week 3 of the season.
Well, they have not played good baseball at all. They've played horribly on offense, have not been able to produce runs. Their pitching has broken down. The bullpen, after losing Randall Myers, has just not done the job. And what you come out with is Brady Anderson just hitting a blooper, getting jammed on this fastball up and in. But he's hustling right out of the box all the way and turns it into a triple. Look at him running hard there, just giving everything he's got. And that's exactly what he has to do, what this Oriole club has to do. There is a lot of ability on this ball club. There's no way that they should be 12 games behind this Yankee ball club and in last place in this division.
That'll bring up Jeffrey Hammonds, and Irabu starts him with the strike. Let me just clean up Tino Martinez. The bruise that you look at Hammonds' number, the young, one of the few men that are not in their 30s or 40s on the Orioles. In there for a strike. Tino is not in the lineup tonight because the bruise on his back not only is about twice the size of a baseball, but it's elevated. I mean, it's not just a flat bruise. It's elevated. It's ugly. The good news is X-rays were negative, and he is day to day. And just to see him smile that's a good thing, because I can't imagine last night and tonight him trying to sleep.
Well, Armando Benitez throws 95 to 98, and when you come up and in on somebody like that, you should get somebody should bust you. I mean, right in the mouth. I am not in favor of that. And if you're going to hit somebody, you hit them down around their butt or their kneecap or something like that. But another 2 or 3 inches, and he could have hit him in his neck.
Ball bounds away from Jorge Posada, but Anderson not going anywhere. All right, we might as well continue. I mean, look, it's not unheard of for a pitcher to work inside or even hit a batter after a home run. I'm not saying it's right, because it's not right.
No, I don't have anything. I don't have anything against that.
But what do? You throw a ball at the shins, or you
basically throw it behind his butt, and he generally, his natural reaction is to move back, and it hits him in his tail. That's all you have to do. You don't have to throw the ball up around the neck, and you certainly don't do what Benitez did. You don't put your hands out and challenge the whole ball club, letting the world know that you're proud that you did it.
Payoff pitch to Jeffrey Hammers. And we will do it again. Yeah, the fact that the ball was a mid-90s or higher fastball, up at the numbers or higher, and it was this, as if one Yankee told me, it was as if he picked up a rock in a street fight and threw it right away without even thinking. It was the manner in which it was done in addition to the action.
Right, the action, as we said, and not to kill it, because we've got a great matchup here.
Ended up here.
But the fact is he threw the ball up in a very dangerous place and then is basically bragging about having done it.
Straightaway left field is Chad Curtis, but Anderson with good wheels. Curtis comes in. Here's the throw home. Up the line, and Anderson is safe. And you know the happiest guy there is the third base coach of the Orioles, Sammy Perlazzo. Ray Miller told him before the game, Sammy, just send people. Sammy says, do you care if they're out? No, just send people. Let's just get things started.
Well,
so look for the Orioles to do some running tonight when they can.
Sammy's always been a great third base coach and very aggressive. Here we see the Yankees. Look over at first base. Sojo's playing first with the absence of Martinez. Just his third career start at first base. And guarantee with Tino Martinez out of the lineup, there's a big hole to fill right there for Luis Sojo.
Roberto, remember the Alomar, hitting third. He's certainly capable of hitting third, although he is not your prototypical power hitting number 3 man with only 3 home runs. I just missed, Ray, Roberto Alomar leading off, hitting second, and doing the things that he is capable of doing, which is running, being a catalyst, and he can't do that on this team from the 3-hole.
Well, it just looks that, to me now, that Ray Miller has conceded running and that he's just going to try to produce runs. They've only stolen 23 bases and been thrown out 18 times. That's not a very good percentage. So although he wanted to force the running game early in the year, he's moved Robbie down because nobody was really driving in big runs.
Count is 2-2 to Roberto Alomar. You know, home runs, they have no problem hitting home runs. They're about the same pace as they were at this time last year, when, remember, they won 98 ball games. Runs in the middle of the pack. Of course, stolen bases way off. But I'm not talking about just stealing bases. Robbie can be a catalyst by just being in a place in the lineup where he can go first to third on a blooper. I just think of the things he did for Toronto in
You're
particular.
right, and this ball club. He's always been a 1 or 2 hole hitter. Ideal number 2 hole hitter, takes a lot of pitches, puts the bat on the ball, hits the ball all over the ballpark. But when you have a tough time with people driving in runs, you tend to move the people down in the order that make contact. Robbie certainly makes contact. Now with Brady back, Ray Miller feels that he has somebody that can set the table and probably give Jeffrey Hammonds more of a chance to play.
So Alomar at first with 1 out, and that'll bring up Rafael, Emerson, Lake, and Palmeiro. Rafi with 7 home runs, 30 ribbies. 264 batting average is certainly below what he's capable of. Lifetime 294 hitter. As does Alomar, is a lifetime 304 hitter. Admittedly in the not full slate last year, 333, and Robbie's at 288. So everybody's off some of the teams. When they've hit, they haven't pitched. When they've pitched, they haven't hit.
They have done that. It would surprise me if Robbie doesn't go real quick right here. Irabu is very, very slow to the plate, doesn't have a good move over at first base. That's something that he has been working on. Mel Stottlemyre told me before the game that he's worked on his pickoff move. He's worked on trying to get a quicker delivery to home plate, but he's just a slow motion type pitcher. Very slow to the plate, almost 1.65 to the plate. So this is a situation where you've got to believe that Alomar is going to run early in the count.
Plus, the guy playing first base who doesn't normally play it. Not that Soho can't hold him on, but does that factor in at all?
I don't think it really does. I think what you do is you have a coach over there with a stopwatch there. Jose Morales probably has one. Most first base coaches have one in their hands. And they, on the first move of the pitcher, they push that button and they look down there, and if it's anything more than a 1-4, Carlos Barnhart over there at first base, then they alert the runner, and runner's on their own. There you see the clock or the stopwatch.
Time was called. It's a no pitch. Irabu certainly is taking his time.
Oh man, he'll put you to sleep. He's a lot like Mike Hargrove, the human rain delay, pitching as Mike Hargrove was to hitting. But there's no way that Posada will be able to throw Robbie out here unless he were to get a horrible jump. But if you just watch him, he's got a high leg kick, very slow.
There he goes. Pitch is a good one for Posada to throw. And actually, Jeter thought they had a chance.
I tell you what, this young catcher, Jorge Posada, has an outstanding throwing arm. We've heard a lot about him. Last time we were here, he hit a home run, swung the bat really well. That's the first time I've seen him throw. That's an outstanding jump. He goes on the first move, looking, but this throw was a rocket just up the line a little bit. And, I'm telling you, that was very close. But that shows you why you never steal bases on catchers. That's an outstanding throw. He thought he had him. Look at this tag here. Right there on his butt.
Close.
Very close.
Hard to tell right there.
But at least Baltimore showing the aggressiveness that you stated. Ray Miller telling Palazzo to run, and I'm sure he told Robbie Alomar and Hammonds to be aggressive, go when you can. This guy has a slow move to the plate, and let's do something. That's surprising. Only 5 attempts for Robbie Alomar.
That's what I mean. I just miss it as a fan. Ripped down the right field line. Foul ball. Palmeiro looking to rattle it around the corner and certainly score Alomar. You know, forgotten in all of what happened last night is that these Baltimore Orioles, who, as we said at the outset, have gone 10-22 in their last 32 games, including being swept in a 4-game series by Tampa Bay. Forgotten in all that, Ray Miller's club played the best 6 innings that they have played in easily 2 weeks and maybe in a month. And they, you know, you got to chip away at a lead that the Yankees have, or just try and chip away at their bad play. They had a 5-1 lead, which they also blew last night.
Well, I'm with you, Chris, and that's why they were so upset. In a situation when somebody like Bernie Williams hits a home run, you're still in a ball game, and the Yankees don't need to be awakened. You know, they're
awake. They're wide
awake.
They're on no dose.
That's exactly right. Or something a little stronger.
Yeah, maybe. Something green, maybe. This is ripped, but this is going to be foul.
This is what you're going to see right here is Rafael Palmeiro, I think, is one of the best hitters in the last 7 or 8 years to come along. Sweet stroke. You can't get in on him with a fastball. You have to throw him stuff off the plate, down and away, maybe get him to chase fastballs up. But he's so quick inside, and if you pound him in there, he's going to eventually hurt you. You got to go away with him.
It's a left center field. Chad Curtis coming in, makes the catch. Alomar back to second, 2 out.
Irabu must have heard me, or Jorge Posada, because he went away with the fastball. And Rafi tends to just kind of leave the ball out there and not stroke that ball aggressively. And you'll see later on this game as it develops, if you pitch him inside as he gripped those other two balls down that line, he can really hurt you. Speaking about Irabu, the biggest change to him, as you mentioned earlier, Chris, is he's got better command in the strike zone. Last year, he was unbelievable. Gave up 69 hits in just 53 innings with a 7 earned run average, and they just hammered him all over the ballpark because when he threw strikes, it was right down the middle. Now he's throwing the ball to spots and changing speeds on his fastball even, and has become outstanding.
Harold Baines. Has he been around a while, Ray?
Yeah,
he says one of the sweetest swings, though. Didn't he? 39 years young, his 19th season. Had 3 RBIs last night for the Orioles, and they're a 5-run output, went 2 for 3. And he began the season as number 2 of active players among RBIs with over 1,400.
Well, Harold Baines is truly one of the great hitters of my era. He played when I was playing, obviously just 5 years younger than I, but has always been what they call a professional hitter, meaning always gets a good ball to hit, always ready to hit.
He hits this one a long way. Bernie Williams back in left center field, makes the catch. Baines gave it a ride. The Orioles do score against Irabu. The Yankees coming up against their former mate, Jimmy Key. Yankee Stadium, which has certainly been the spotlight or the fulcrum of baseball activity the last few days. The perfect game, brawl, and the big comeback last night for the Yankees, who, well, one of the best starts in the history of the most famous baseball team on earth. The next tell lineup for Joe Torre's Yankees: Chuck Newkid's on Knobloch, leads it off at second base. Derek Jeter with power this year, 7 homers already at shortstop. Paul O'Neill had 4 hits last night in right field. Bernie Williams is the cleanup hitter with the big 3-run home run last night. Tim Raines, whose 2-run homer put a punctuation on all of it, the first pitch after the brawl. He's the DH tonight. Chad Curtis in left field hitting 6th. Jorge Posada behind the plate hitting 7th. Scott Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious hitting 8th. Luis Soho in the rain for you Warren Zevon fans hitting 9th against the one-time Yankee and certainly veteran pitcher of 4-2, the most consistent pitcher of the Orioles this year that they've had, Jimmy Key.
Well, you talk about veteran, 15 years in the league, 37 years old, Jimmy Key. There you see his stats. Fastball, big, slow, slowest. Slower. Curveball. Slider, changeup. He just throws everything up there.
So naturally, he starts with a fastball inside the Knobloch, and you know what everybody's thinking. Listen to the fans.
Jimmy Key has never thrown at anybody. And tonight, I guarantee you, exchange of the lineup cards, both of these managers were warned, and there's not going to be any of that stuff tonight.
Do you think that Key, because he was once a Yankee, not because he knows guys in this clubhouse, but because they know him, the Yankees are even more, shall I say, at ease. They know what Key does stand for. And they've got to doubt that anything's going to happen from him. If anyone's doing anything, it's the Yankees. And Joe Torre already told us it's over.
Well, in this day and age, Chris, I guarantee you last night, a lot of these Orioles, Eric Davis and Darryl Strawberry are great friends. And a lot of the Orioles and the Yankees talked last night after the game. I'm sure all that stuff was put, as Ray Miller said, was pretty much squarely on Benitez's shoulders, and everything else is just back to business.
Cal Ripken knocks down the ball hit by Knobloch, prevents it from being extra bases, but Knobloch begins the game the way he's supposed to in the Yankees fans' eyes with a base hit.
Well, look how far Cal is off the line. Knobloch hitting a lot of balls the other way, gives a good jump on the ball, really extends, would not have been able to throw him out anyway, but he surely saved a double by that extension of his glove hand. And on defense for Baltimore tonight, see their basic defense there. Bordick at shortstop, really short up their defense, working well with Alomar, and Chris Hoyles behind the plate. Outstanding receiver, but has a tough time throwing the ball. A couple of shoulder surgeries in the past, and although Jimmy Key has a pretty good move at first base, I wouldn't be surprised if Knobloch, who is known for his speed, starts early.
Swing at the first pitch as Derek Jeter hits it deep to left center field. It's a one-hopper off the wall. Flying is Knobloch around third. He'll score. Jeter digs for third. Here's the relay from Borden. Safe. 1-1. Well, we told you about the power of Derek Jeter. And he's sick and tired of saying, hey, A-Rod is hitting home runs. Garcia Perez is hitting home runs. I can get big-time extra base hits.
Well, he surely can. Here, a little slider down, and he gets most of this ball, drives it out there about 400 feet. No chance for Anderson to get the ball, but watch Chuck Knobloch running hard all the way here. First ball, he just starts, takes off, seeing if the ball's caught, and boom, takes no chance now to stop him from scoring. But the thing that I liked, watching Jeter from first to third, he was low flying.
Told you he was flying.
He was flat out flying, and it just shows you what happens with a team that's used to playing the game hard all the time. Orioles come out and score a run, and Yankees come right back and negate that score.
Here is Paul O'Neill, 4 for 5 last night with a pair of RBIs, and we should say with that hit, he swung at the first pitch. We didn't get to say everything. We said he's hitting with more power. We said he's comfortable in the 2-hole. He now has a 15-game hitting streak, Derek Jeter.
Yeah, I find myself a lot of times talking about Alex Rodriguez and Garcia Parra being the best 2 young shortstops in the game, and somehow I don't say Derek Jeter, but...
Ripped down the line, but foul.
That is certainly...
Oh, he's right.
He They're all right there.
You know what's fun? These guys have a chance to be great for 10 to 12 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time, or maybe never, has there been 3 young shortstops that come in the game basically together, under 25 years old, that possess the speed, the arm, the defensive skills, and the ability to swing the bat with power, as those 3 aforementioned guys.
Rung up is Paul O'Neill, and he is not happy about it. Couple of words with Dale Ford before he sits down. And last night's hero, Bernie Williams, coming up with a big ovation. Let's go to Carl Rapp.
Is that ovation for me, Boomer? White Sox, Red Sox, and the Red Sox will host the Yankees this weekend. Talked about great shortstops. They are, of course, without Nomar Garcia-Parra, but they do have Mo Vaughn, and he takes Jamie Navarro deep. It's 1-0 Red Sox. Boomer?
All right, Ravi, well, we always give you an ovation. The fans knew we were going to you, and look forward to your updates all evening long. What a last few days we've had in baseball. Not only here at Yankee Stadium, but McGuire with the 3 homers last night, second time this season. Hey, Bernie Williams hit a no-doubter last night off Benitez. A Yankee Stadium home run. The upper throws of the right field seats gave him a lead. 5-4 deficit at the time in the 8th. 3-run blast made it 7-5. Then Martinez gets plunked. Then Raines hits the 2-run home run. Get 2-0, so Bernie may get a pitch that he really wants to jump on, right?
Well, he may, but Jimmy Key's really smart. And although it's early in the game, Jimmy knows that all he has to do is make one pitch to the next hitter, Tim Raines, to get a double play. So he's going to pitch Bernie real tough and not give up an easy run here.
Foul back and out of play. 2-1.
I've seen pitchers like Jimmy Key. You talk about John Tudor and Tom Browning, Jimmy Key, that don't have great stuff, that don't overpower you, but just are so smart, pitch to spots, use the situation to their advantage. Here, you have a hitter with a runner on third base, infield back. All he has to do is make contact. You want to drive that run in, so you have a tendency to chase a little bit. Jimmy Key is a master at getting you to chase his pitch.
Fastball misses a little bit outside. 3-1. Timmy Raines just keeps on trucking. Every year, well, he doesn't fit in. Say the media, some of the fans. Oh, he fits in all right.
Well, he certainly does.
Home run he hit last night, which followed Bernie as Bernie gets the base of most. Well, here it is. You talk about a 10-minute brawl, and then against your main rivals, sticking it to him. How about Tim Raines coming to the plate, and the first pitch from reliever Bobby Munoz, the next pitch in the game is a 2-run shot. You talk about twisting the knife. That, to me, as far as the Yankees are concerned, is the most memorable moment of the evening.
Well, I agree with you, Chris. That's just like when you're boxing, somebody hits you with a straight right in the mouth and hits you hard, and all of a sudden you come back with a combination with a left cross and a right hook, and boom, they say, wait a minute. You know, so they counterpunched and counterpunched extremely well and quick.
You know, Raines has hit 3, he's hit 5. I mean, he's hit, in his career, he never really hit in these spots, except maybe on a day that 5 people were getting a day off.
Well, he was a prototypical leadoff hitter like Ricky Henderson. Great eye, switch hitter, tremendous speed, extra base hit power. I always thought he could be a 3-hole hitter, but as you were talking about Robbie Alomar earlier, he did so many things with his feet offensively that it was hard not to lead him off.
Rip, Cal will not get this one. Jeter will score. Williams to third. The throw is to second. The Yankees have the lead and runners on the corner.
Number 28, Chad.
Well, Jimmy Key kind of pitched around Williams and to get to Raines, but it backfires. Gets a fastball up, Raines just inside the bag. Again, Ripken no chance. The ball just barely fair. But watch again how Bernie Williams on a ball to left field, how these Yankees are just hustling hard all the time. No play at third to go. Ball goes to second to keep the double play in order. But I'm amazed watching this club play how Knobloch and Jeter and all of them. They all of them bust their tails.
Chad Curtis gets clipped by Jimmy Key, who's not very pleased with that pitch. And the Boo Birds are out. Time is called.
He was just asking Ted Henry if, who was our second base umpire there?
Larry Young.
Larry Young, if the ball actually hit his foot. And that's what he was asking. Young said, yes, it absolutely did. There you see it clearly hitting and caroling off. There you see, watch his back foot. Right there off the instep of his right foot.
Well, the reason I hesitated, I looked down just for a minute.
You thought he was going to throw him out.
Well, I couldn't believe. Well, he gave a big heave, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
A big heave. It wasn't just pointing to first like.
I wasn't sure either.
That's why I stopped short. So Jorge Posada up with the bases full of Yankees. 2 runs already home. And the crowd with that New York blood-curdling feel in their throats, you know? Bernie Williams at third base. Rock Raines at second. Chad Curtis now at first. Palmeiro creeping in behind to try to keep him close. Ooh, this is a slicer down the line. Fair ball. Williams scores. Raines scores. Double for Posada. 4-1 Yankees.
Well, Jimmy Key just up with everything, and then when he makes a good pitch down and away, these Yankees are so hot, they're just hitting the ball all over the ballpark. Down the left field line twice, now down the right field line, extra base hits everywhere, just merry-go-round around the bases. My goodness.
Well, Raines had the counterpunch last night with the home run. He's involved in the counterpunch tonight, and you take care of things with your bats and with your gloves. And the Yankees are doing that. Pitching coach Mike Flanagan out to the mound to talk to Jimmy Key just to try and settle him down, or maybe even say, hey, that was a good pitch, keep going with it.
Well, he's made some good pitches, but good hitters when they're hot, and teams when they're going well seem to hit any and everything, and that's what we're seeing tonight with the Yankees, what we saw the last time, and every time that I've tuned in, that's what I've seen with the Yankees. They're just a club that have supreme confidence in themselves.
So the number 8 hitter here in the first inning, Scott Brocious, will look at a fastball that hits the outside corner for a strike. 7 batters, 6 base runners, And Key is far from being out of the woods. With 2 runners at scoring position, a little blooper will make it a 6-1 game here in the first. Roche is hitting at .316, hitting way above what the Yankees were hoping for when they acquired him in the Kenny Rogers trade. By the way, our plaudits to Kenny Rogers. They're doing a good job out in Oakland. He's really found himself out there. But Roche has fielded. They knew he was a good fielder. He's fielded expertly. And you can see the infield is in, just trying to choke this off at 4 runs.
Well, you surely have to be. They're halfway, actually. And that's the situation where, with a runner at third base, he's going on contact within infield halfway. You'll see Curtis, as soon as the ball's ground ball contact, he'll be running, as will the runner on second base, unless the ball is hit directly at the third baseman. But this is Ray Miller trying to cut down the lead run, knowing that with 1 out, the runner on third is going to be on the move.
Swinging through that one is Brocious, and Key with a big strikeout. 2 down, still the runners at second and third for the number 9 hitter, Luis Sojo, playing first base. So Bordick and company now move back at regular depth. Sojo not a speed merchant, so they'll have some time to make a play to first. Sojo is looking for his first hit of the season, but remember, he started hurt. He can be a valuable player, especially if it's sustained injury to a Knobloch or a Jeter. He's a professional. I'd call him more than a utility player. When he's in the groove, he swings a pretty good bat, Ray.
He does swing a good bat, and Sojo's been a starter, has played very well. This just shows you the depth of this ball club when you have a guy like Sojo not able to crack the lineup and not even close to being able to crack the lineup.
Kind of a weird number to Ripken across the diamond to Palmeiro, but in the last 3 innings against the Baltimore Orioles, the Yankees have scored 12 runs, 4-1 New York.
Prime Star. Devil Rays and Blue Jays and Jose Canseco facing Wilson Alvarez and A. Jackson. Jose Canseco staying healthy and hitting the ball all over the map. Talk about great young shortstops. Alex Gonzalez with a 3-run home run. It's 5-0, Chris.
All right, Robbie, thank you. It's 4-1 here. Boy, Canseco's hit some of his biggest shots as an Oakland A in that building in Toronto. So coming up later, the Oakland A's at the Anaheim Angels with Carpy and Joe Morgan. So you want to stay tuned for our double dip here. Athletics can hit the ball. I mean, they're not going to win any pennant, probably. They can hit the ball. On the Angels, well, there aren't many teams in the American League that are over 500. They're one of them. Look at the way the league has turned out thus far, Ray. A's and Angels later on. The American League is set up right now as the Orioles begin with Cal Ripken. He of the 2,523 now consecutive games. Ripken, Surhoff, and Hoyles. Cal really not in any hitting groove at the moment. Matter of fact, if you look back over Cal's last 162 games, so you put this season along with the majority of last season, 12 homers, 68 ribbies, 260 batting average. I'm not trying to prove any point. Just saying that he's been in a little bit of a rut for a while that carries back to the second half of last season. And he's very disappointed about it. We talked for a while at the cage, as we knew we would. And so I'm just looking at it going to help this team get out of its doldrums.
Well, Cal has struggled over the last couple of years. And there's been some rumbling lately from the Orioles clubhouse. There was a statement the other day made by Ray Miller about young Jeffrey Hammond not playing hurt. Eric Davis was taken aback by that statement and said that he thought it was a wrong statement. And then there was some other talk that why does Ripken play all the time when he's not hitting? So that was bound to happen when clubs struggle.
He's hitting there.
And that's a base hit. But that man commands so much respect. He's going to play until he wants to come out of the lineup. And you're talking about the same way Garrick was treated, Ruth, Pete Rose. I mean, he's an institution in this game, and he deserves to play as long as he wants to play. I believe.
Yeah, no question. Orioles hope that he and their play just picks up. As B.J. Surhoff steps to the plate. B.J. hitting at 277, 31 ribbies. Surhoff, the pride of Rye, New York. We're up 40 minutes here from Yankee Stadium, Westchester County, along the shore, along Long Island Sound, for those of you not familiar with where Rye, New York is. 10 or 15 minutes from where I grew up, Ray. That's how I know this stuff. He, of course, played college ball at Chapel Hill, University of North Carolina. Will there be room? Yeah, plenty of room for Chad Curtis. Looked like it would slice a little bit closer to the line when it left the bat, but Surhoff is gone. Ripken back to first, and there is one out. Well, as we told you in the first inning, and we'll tell you again, Irabu has not allowed consecutive hits all year, and this is his 6th start. That's, I don't know how you get much better than that. Opponents going into the game were hitting 159 off him, right?
Well, he's been almost unbelievable, and you saw Joe Torre in that bite there talk about how he moves around in the strike zone with his fastball. He can throw the fastball 95 miles an hour and then come back and throw 187. He has the ability to take off and add to his fastball. His fastball is pretty much true blue, 4-seamer, straight over the top. His curveball is just kind of erratic, but he's done most of this damage with his fastball just in and out, changing speeds on it. Mel Stottlemyre told me he's working on a split finger. He's told him to grip his curveball a little tighter with his pointing finger.
Ripped by Chris Hoyles, but right at a leaping Chad Curtis. They're 2 down. Well, we talk about Irabu, and we talk about the difference this year versus last year. Boy, the first guy to notice it is manager Joe Torre.
He's got a presence about him out there that's it's really fun to watch for me, because now I expect him every time to go out there and give us a chance to win. There are times he doesn't have a breaking ball early in the game, and he moves the fastball around, throws at different speeds, but he has a lot of determination. Last year he sort of panicked, got frustrated. He's a completely different pitcher this year,
as the results have shown, and he begins with an off-speed pitch for a strike to the number 9 hitter of the Orioles, the shortstop Mike Bordick. Now, I mean, there you go. 709 to 1.11. Bordick fouls it off. You say Surhoff from Rye, New York. Bordick from Mechanic Falls, Maine, toward the center of that great state. Shortstop for years with the Oakland A's. A taste of winning with that club when he came up as a youngster. Succeeded Walt Weiss at that position. And now he is plunked. What do you make of this?
I'm not going to say anything. Fastball that just got away, I think. I don't think that you ever take a situation and put your pitcher or yourself in a position to put the tying run to the plate. I think this is a fastball he just wanted to come in on, and it hit him. I mean, after what happened and what was said to us, but you can pick a better spot to hit somebody than right there and put the tying run at the plate.
Well, and the professional, the board, I mean, he didn't even give a look, right? Nobody gave a look. Fans gave a look. That'll bring up Brady Anderson, who began the game with a triple and scored on a sacrifice fly by Jeffrey Hammond. So Brady, although he's hitting way below the Mendoza line, way below, is certainly capable. He already hit a triple, getting the Orioles right back to the game. And I think of the 6 outings thus far this year, but you saw the breakdown of balls and strikes. Although Irabu has only given up the 1 run this far, he's probably least in command this start at the outset than he's been in his other 5 outings.
Well, there's no question. He's been all over the place with the fastball. In, up, out. But again, after this pitch, I'll give you a little manager's insight, or ex-manager's insight. What happens so often, Chris, in ball games when you have a player hit? the pitching staff wants to protect that player immediately. They want to go right back out there and drill somebody immediately. And what happens in this game, managers and pitching coaches have heart attacks when that happens. You want to do it, but you want to do it later on when it has no effect on the ball game. Getting hit in that situation has an effect on this ball game. Pitchers have long memories. Managers have long memories.
Sky to right field. Paul O'Neill waves everybody off. And Irabu wriggles free, leaves a pair on. And the Yankees will come up here in the bottom of the second inning with a 4-1 lead. Brady upset a 3-0 pitch.
45 games into the season, but for sure, many people think there's a chance we see the Yankees take on this team in October. Michael Tucker's gone yard for the 9th time this season. 3-1 Braves. Chris?
All right, Robbie, thank you. Tuckertown. He's had a big, powerful year. We saw the Braves last week. We're seeing the Yankees this week. Wow, have we seen two hotter teams?
Well, I got to agree with Robbie. I've not seen two better teams in the game, and if things go according to ability, those teams will lock up come October, if everybody stays healthy.
So the Yankees batted around in the first inning, so Knobloch gets the lead off for the second time of the game, and it's only inning number 2. Knobloch, Jeter, and O'Neill. Chuck singled and scored on Jeter's triple. Start the Yankees' 4-run first inning off Jimmy Keane.
Going back to the last inning just for a minute, I'm a little surprised, aren't you? That
as an announcer or an ex-announcer,
right.
I am surprised.
Well, look here, 3-0 count, you know, and Brady Anderson hitting 138 swings at a pitch. There's nothing wrong with taking a pitch, and that's just a sign of a team that's struggling, trying to do something and just going really out of the realm of what makes sense to me. I don't think you swing at 3-0 pitches when you're struggling the way they are, and certainly you can go to 3-1 and have Hammond come up there.
Breaking ball inside low, 3-2 to Knobloch. You know, as well as the Yankees are playing, and this just in, 28-5 in their last 33 games qualifies as well. Now, of course, Jeter is playing real well, but Knobloch, the man at the plate, is hitting at about 250. I mean, we haven't seen out of him what we're going to this year is a fly to center field that Brady Anderson will make the play on, and there's one out.
Well, no, you haven't, Chris. I mean, a lot of times teams dominate when each one of the players, or the majority of the players, have career-type years. There's really nobody on this ball club except for maybe Irabu, who's doing more than they were expected to do.
And maybe Brocious, too. Those would be the two guys. Right?
Brocious offensively, he's certainly doing a great job defensively, but those two are the only two guys that are really having what you would say career years thus far this early in the season. Everybody else is either right about what they normally do and certainly not above it.
Derek Jeter tripled and scored in the first. 15-game hitting streak now. Here's a guy that moved around in the order his 3 years with the Yankees, and he can hit in any spot.
Yeah, he can hit 1, 2, 3, probably 5. And anywhere else, but they started him off hitting him around 8 in the lineup and let him get a few at-bats under his belt and mature a little bit as a hitter.
What is the toughest spot to move to and adjust what you're doing here? Lead off, 2-hole?
There's two spots that are really tough to hit, and that's the 2-hole and the 8-hole. 2-hole because you're usually taking pitches for the runner on first base, who's usually a burner, and the 8-hole because you're hitting ahead of the pitcher in the National League, not getting very many fastballs to hit. A lot of diet of breaking balls, change-ups, split fingers, curveballs, especially if you can hurt them as an 8-hole hitter. I hit third for 4 years of my big league career, and that was the easiest spot to hit because you got all the power behind you and all the speed ahead of you. And usually your best hitter hits third, but that was the easiest spot for me to hit.
2-2 pitch to Jeter. Goes the other way with it, his second hit of the night. Well, I would say if the number 2 hole is the toughest spot to make the adjustments, he's come through with flying colors. Always coming through with flying colors, Ravi Shankar.
All right, Boomer. Coming through for the Red Sox, Lou Merloni called up. Jeff Fry got hurt. So did Nomar Garciaparra. Well, the second baseman who bats ninth tonight drives in 2. That gave the Red Sox a 3-0 lead. Vaughn is up with men on first and second. Chris?
Well, the Red Sox lost last night. Boy, the Yankees head to Boston after this 3-game series with the Orioles. And Fenway Park will be hopping. Paul O'Neill swings at the first pitch off speed from Key. He struck out looking in the first. Hit strike 1. By the way, the Red Sox have played. It's good to get a little juice back in that Yankee-Red Sox rivalry.
Well, they're certainly juiced in Boston. That club playing so well so far this season, and the Yankees just keep pulling away from it.
Yankees and Red Sox will have 6 games against each other before the month is completed. 3 games in Boston this weekend, 3 games at New York the following weekend. And here's Boston, 27-16, playing lights out, and they're 4.5 games back. It's like, come on. Come on now. But there's the standings with the Orioles sitting right back in dead last behind Tampa Bay. Outside corner, and O'Neill for the second time is out looking.
Paul obviously not seeing Jimmy Key very well. Both those pitches on the outside part of the plate. Outside edge. Watch this pitch right here. Paul O'Neill, last time, Hoyle sets up outside again, sets up outside, threads the needle right there. I mean, that ball is right there. Now, I can see a man taking it one time, but once the umpire has established that strike zone out there, you better be able to foul that pitch off and spoil it and get to another pitch.
Bernie Williams walked and scored in the first inning. 2 out, Jeter at first, 4-1 Yankees. Key will keep an eye on Jeter, who certainly can go. But just to bat to the Yankees Red Sox, I mean, that's such a great rivalry. That those of us that grew up in Connecticut, right in the middle of it, by the way, you can't live a day without having to pick a side. And it's just, I know the players change a lot more than they used to, but that's a good one to have meaningful all season long. The Red Sox, even when the Yankees come and one of the 2 teams is out of it, it's still spirited. The Red Sox have gotten up to such poor starts the last couple of years. This will be fun.
Well, the great thing about the wild card is you get a team like Boston who may not win their division, but still could be in the wild card. But they want to win the division because then you get home field advantage. You don't have to travel somewhere else.
I will say this, and then we'll put an end to it. For those not familiar with the Yankees-Red Sox rivalry, and certainly Don Zimmer knows a little bit about it. The fans are about 1/4 to 1/3 in Boston, the other team. They're about 1/3 to 1/4 Yankee fans when the Yankees come to Fenway. And down here, there's about 1/4 of Yankee Stadium are Red Sox fans. Because because you can drive to the other park.
Right.
And certainly when college is still in and most of the schools are out, if the Yankees go up to Boston in April or in September when colleges are in, there are a lot of New York area kids up in Boston, all the schools up there.
Right.
And they'll get the seats early. And then down here, people come driving from Connecticut because there's 50-odd thousand seats, so they can get a ticket here easier than Fenway. So it's a real festive and sometimes dangerous in the stands. We hope it doesn't ever escalate into that. Bernie Williams swings and misses. Key strikes out the last 2 batters. We've played 2 here in New York. 4-1 Yankees. Tough times for Ray Miller and the Orioles. They trail the Yankees here 4-1 at the top of the 3rd. And last night, Ray was not very proud of his young pitcher, Armando Benitez. Talk about it.
I certainly don't condone what happened, and I want everyone to know that one player doesn't represent the entire Baltimore Orioles. The intent of what happened lies with him, but it does. The fact of someone being hurt after someone does something good, it certainly doesn't represent the Baltimore Orioles or me or the staff or anybody in the front office, ownership, any of that. And I issued a full apology to Tino Martinez. That shouldn't happen in baseball. Hopefully he's not hurt. The fact that Armando accepted his suspension effective tonight kind of tells the story.
Ray, pretty, I would say, outspoken for a manager. Scott Brocious was right there for the shot by Jeffrey Hammonds for the first out.
Well, I really applaud Ray Miller. And I've always had tremendous respect for him. When he was in the National League there as pitching coach with Jimmy Leland and at Pittsburgh, and certainly here with Davey Johnson. But it takes a lot to admit wrong. It takes a lot to belittle, actually, a player on your own ball club and stand up that strongly. And he did that, and I gained more respect for him because of it.
Irabu behind Alomar, 2-0. Well, as you look at Cal, you know, the Orioles, in talking with them before the game, they felt embarrassed. Chopper is foul. They felt, I won't say who used the word, but like losers. They said, we felt like losers. Here we were getting beat by a team, and that's the only way we know how to retaliate. As you see, if you tune in late, the suspensions have been doled out. Benitez serving game 1 of an 8-game suspension tonight. When that's done, Alan Mills will serve 2. Darryl Strawberry is not in uniform tonight, serving game 1 of his 3-game suspension. By the way, you can't, and then Lloyd will serve his, then Nelson. You can't call up a player from the minors. So each team with 24 players, not 25 players. So when you watch the game tonight, there's one less man. They don't call up somebody to replace Benitez in the bullpen. But the word loser was used in the Oriole dugout, and that stuck in their craw worse than anything else, as Irabu misses 3-2 to Alomar, and you know, they were impressed with what the Yankees did. They understood exactly what they did, and they were impressed with the way Reigns hit the home run. I mean, they weren't thrilled about it.
Well, all these guys have been in the game long enough to know what you're supposed to do, and they respect professionalism. They respect it when another pitcher pitches inside. There's just this game that they've always said the pitcher owns the outside part of the plate, you own the inside part. If you start hitting a pitcher too well, then they'll bust you inside. But as we talked about earlier, there's a right time to do it, there's a right place to do it, and there's a right spot to throw at somebody. And you just don't do it out of frustration just because you have a baseball and you can hurt somebody. I got hit in the face back in 1972, and I was scared for a year at the plate. It's a scary thought, and it should not be allowed.
There goes Alomar with a huge jump on a hit and run, but he will have to dash back because Palmeiro flies out to Paul O'Neill. So there are 2 outs. Alomar back to first base, and Harold Baines coming up. If you're tuning in late, Tino Martinez not playing tonight because he has a huge bruise on his back, but X-rays negative. He is day to day. We showed you the suspensions for the record. Each pitcher, Hideki Irabu, Jimmy Key, has hit another batter tonight. Neither even came close to looking intentional, and neither team flinched. So for the teams to say, hey, it's over, we resolved it with that ugly brawl last night, I would say so far their actions on the field back up those words.
No question about it. And even if Irabu hit Bordick on purpose, Orioles are going to be man enough to take it and say, hey, let's just move on.
Yes, they are. Harold Baines flew out to end the first inning, flew out to center field. Outside Baines, 2-0. Irabu throwing a lot of balls.
He is. He's not real sharp tonight, but Joe Torre said before, and talking to Mel Stottlemyre, that he has a tendency to struggle a little bit with his command early, especially with his curveball, and then he just gets stronger and stronger as the game goes on.
60th pitch of the game, and here we are in the 3rd inning. Count is 2-1 with a strike there to Baines.
Well, this has a chance to be the all-time slowest 9-inning ball game on record. Anytime Hideki's out there on the mound.
But anytime the Yankees and the Orioles get together, I mean, they had those 4-hour and 22-minute games. I mean, they average over 3.5 hours when they play the last couple of years.
Look, Jimmy's going to sleep there. He said, wake me up when we go out there.
Alomar, the runner at first base. He's walked both times tonight.
A little better spin move there from Hideki Irabu. But again, you said hit and run with Palmeiro. I doubt seriously if they hit and run with Palmeiro, although it appeared that. I think it was probably a straight steal, and Palmeiro saw a pitch that he wanted to hit.
There's another walk. So Baines is aboard, Alomar to second base, and we are down to 4, Ray, in the race for the Stanley Cup. The Eastern Conference Finals with Dominic Hasek, the Dominator, and the Buffalo Sabres, fresh off their donut sweep of Les Canadiens, take on the Washington Capitals, Attaboats, and a hot goalie themselves. Hasek against Ole the goalie. Olaf Kolzig, Saturday, Game 1, 7:30 Eastern Time. Capitals with the home ice advantage. It was 1 and 2 Washington, Game 3 and 4 in Buffalo. Hit well to right, but O'Neill is there, and Cal Ripken gone, swinging at the first pitch. We head to the bottom of the third inning. 4-1 New York. Stadium. It's seen some fame the last couple of nights. 4-1 the Yankees lead the Orioles here as we begin the bottom of the third inning. Tim Raines singled to drive in a run and scored in the first inning. Of course, again, that 2-run homer he hit last night after all the melee. That was just, well, that was a class baseball act by a class guy on a class very good ball club. Speaking of the brawl, and then we'll move on. Don Zimmer, I always go to Zim when I ask historical questions in baseball. Zim told me he thought that was the worst that he had ever seen in his 50 years in baseball. Ground ball to second base. Alomar easy. Over to Palmeiro, and there's one out. I know you could go through, and I said, Zim, you played on Dodgers against Giants. He thought that was as big a brawl as far as punches thrown that he had ever seen personally.
You know what happens. So when you start getting Zim's age, you don't remember quite as well.
I said, Sal Maglia? I mean, Dodgers, Giants? You kidding me? Yankees, Red Sox? 70s? And then, of course, the discussion quickly turned to who we're looking forward to in the Belmont, you know? I mean, he was right there with Bill Lee and Greg Nettles. And that was a pretty good one. I don't know that Zim was around for the famed Munson-Fisk brawl. That was a good one. Gene Michael was involved. That was the early 70s. I should know this off the top of my head.
Gerald Johnson.
Well, no, I don't know that he was on the staff either. I don't think so. No, Zim was not managing then. May have been before Darryl. I have to think about that. May have been the manager before Darryl Johnson. It was like 72, 73. I mean, that was early in those two guys' career. At any rate, 2-1 pitch to Chad Curtis. You had a couple that you remembered, right?
Oh, yeah, I couple.
What a surprise, you're in the middle of one or two of them that I can recall. Off-speed pitch to center field. Brady Anderson over towards right. Makes the catch, 2 down. The mayor and the owner. George Steinbrenner, he was poignant and not frothing at the mouth. I want to say publicly, I thought George's comments last night were right to the point. They were not hysterical as maybe 10 or 15 years they might have been when he owned the Yankees in his younger days. I thought he was right on and controlled in the bit with Angelos, who he said called him last night. He said, do I have to get in shape really and take you on? He said, hey, I'm in shape. So I thought he was right on. That's his... You know, with the dander up, I thought George responded as well as I've ever heard him respond publicly.
Well, I thought so, too. And we, as you mentioned, got to talk to him a little bit before today's game, and very up and feeling positive about this ball club. And as you know, you mentioned race horses. He mentioned his stable, and one of his horses is winning a lot. One at the...
Well, he's got 25 horses that are winning a lot right here.
Oh, man, you got that right.
0-2 pitch to Jorge Posada, who doubled in the third and fourth run for the Yankees in the first inning. Misses low. It's 2-2. Yeah, he was riled up, but he was jumping around when Raines hit that home run. Mayor and the governor. Mayor and the well, at any rate, Posada strikes out looking. We've ended 3. 4-1 New York. ESPN Wednesday Night Baseball is brought to you by Keystone Light, America's never bitter beer. Well, back at New York, the Yankees lead the Orioles 4-1. We said George Steinbrenner had some poignant words. Here were some of them after last night's Yankees win.
I thought it was a classless act committed by a guy who I understand has done things like this before. It has no part in the game with players being paid what they're paid. I guess maybe the best way to get rid of it is to do away with the DH so that he has to come up to the plate. But when you have a fastball like he has and you have a hard ball in your hand, it's a lethal weapon. And he could have hurt my players seriously.
What he says is true.
Absolutely true.
Thank goodness Tina was not hurt seriously. We begin the fourth inning. Surhoff, Hoyles, and Bordick, 7-8-9 for the Orioles. An Oriole team that certainly is spinning out of control, going 10-22 in their last 32 games, and an Oriole team that began 10-2. People forget, Ray, they began 10-2.
Yeah,
bullpen was working. Surhoff is down, never down, Carl Ravitch.
Hi, Chris. You talked about those records in the American League. The Indians, 5 games above 500, and everyone else 5 below. How about this shot from Jeff King off Charles Nagy? It leaves the building. It gives the Indians a 1-0 lead. Now it is 2-1 in favor of Cleveland, but 24-19 versus 19-24, Chris.
All right, Ravi, what are those words that spell the same forward and backwards? What are those? Palindromes. 1924, 24-19. A baseball palindrome. Chris Bubbles, Hoyles, and troubles. And he's had troubles at the plate this year. Hitting now with 208 after his fly out to left field.
Well, here you see Hideki here. This is a split finger, and watch how this ball goes down. It goes straight down. A lot of movement late. Been throwing majority of fastballs tonight. Goes to the split finger and punches out Surhoff.
To right center field, Williams and O'Neill are there. Bernie, the center fielder, calls for it. 2 up, 2 down. You know, the Orioles, there are many reasons why, I mean, all of a sudden you can look at it. The first thing is age. I mean, the Orioles are the oldest, not only they have the highest payroll in baseball, but all of a sudden, their everyday lineup, which does not often include Jeffrey Hammonds, who's in his 20s. And Alomar is the baby in that lineup at 30 years of age. Is there room for Soho? Yes, there is. Bordick is gone. We'll talk about this when we return. The Yankees heading to the bottom of the fourth with a 4-1 lead. Good inning for Irabu.
The Red Sox, and they're getting some offense, like the Yankees, from a lot of different sources. Will Cordero makes an error here. Bragg comes around to score. The Red Sox are up 6-1 and threatening again with 2 outs. Boomer.
All right, Ravi, thank you. We begin the bottom of the fourth here with the Yankees with a 4-1 lead. Brocious, Soho, and then the top of the order, Knobloch. Here against one-time Yankee Jimmy Key. Brocious struck out in the first inning when the Yankees sent 9 to the plate, scoring 4 runs, but no strikeout here. A solid shot to center field for a base hit. And we start talking about the Orioles' age now tonight. Admittedly, Jimmy Key, their oldest starting pitcher in the lineup, but as you go around the diamond with the Orioles, just take a look. Hammonds, who's not always in there in right field, is the only player tonight who is in his 20s. DH Harold Baines is 39. Ripken is 37. Surhoff and Anderson, you might not think of them as 33 and 34-year-old players. And Palmeiro at 33. Now, because you're at 33 or 34 doesn't mean you're, quote, old. But there are things that you stop being able to do as a team. And if you play station-to-station baseball, as these Orioles are wont to do, if the pitching and the hitting are not all together, you sit back for big inning or nothing, your margin of error is not very good, Ray, and I think that's part of the problem with the Orioles. Do you agree?
I agree with you totally. Plus, you add in there Davis and Carter, who both are 35, who are integral parts of this ball club.
There goes the throw by Hoyles, and he just nailed Brocious. That wasn't a good jump, or
no, that was a hit and run, and Soho just missed the ball. That's Brocious doesn't run well. That's an ideal hit and run situation. We mentioned Soho hitting number 2 in the order most of his career, but see, real late he even starts back to first base and looking in, peering in, just a hit and run. And if the hitter misses a hit and run, you're always most likely going to be out. Not always, but most of the time.
And Soho is out. Soho 0 for 2 tonight, 2 down at the top of the order, Chuck Knobloch. But look, I mean, I know most of these guys on this team last year and they won 98 games. So the Father Time just catch up with them all of a sudden, or?
No, I think Davey Johnson is probably as underrated manager as there is in the game as far as getting the most out of his players. In New York, when I played there, I loved him. When he went to Cincinnati, he won. He goes to Baltimore, he wins. And every time he goes somewhere, somebody ends up firing him and gets rid of him. You just can't get control of a ball club and have them play for you. I certainly couldn't do it in Cincinnati. But Davey Johnson has had a tremendous winning record, as you see right there. A tremendous guy, great manager. And you change things. You think you're making it better, as Angelos did, and things don't pan out. Nothing against Ray Miller. No. But it's just the fact that there was a lot of changes over there, just in the managerial situation. That's a huge change. Same ball club, and they're not performing. But I think a lot of it has to do with not having Davey there.
Well, Davey does not strike me. And you know Davey better than I do, but I feel I know him pretty well over the years. Davey doesn't strike me as a Bill Parcells type who just, will rub some people the wrong way. Obviously, Davey did, but obviously Bill wins everywhere, so that's a comparison I want to make. I don't think that.
I think.
Marge Schott and Angelos are 2 unique owners. I don't think he's that difficult to get along with, but do the owners feel that way?
Well, the thing with Davey is he believes in what he believes in. He's very, very strong mentally. People have said he's hard-headed. I don't believe that he's hard-headed. He knows the game, and he just believes, and his convictions are very strong. And you get these owners sometimes and GMs that want to control everything, and Davey's not that way. He's a man's man, and he's just so easy to play for as a player. He remembers how it was. He runs a clubhouse pretty loosely, but he allows you to be a man and go out on the field and play.
Derek Jeter up, swings at the first pitch, and he's tripping the left center. Now we'll try and do it to right center field. Another one hopper off the wall. Knobloch being away and waved around third by Willie Randolph. He'll score. Jeter now with a double. He is singled, doubled, and tripled tonight. Could we see a cycle?
Well, the way things have been going around here, it certainly wouldn't surprise me. Somebody said before the game, what are we going to do to top this? And I said, well, somebody's going to hit 4 home runs tonight. And certainly the cycle is something that you don't see all the time. And here, lo and behold, here we just need a home run. And again, right here, Jimmy Key right down the middle with this. And Jeter, very strong stand behind the ball, driving the ball like a power hitter, and hits that ball right up against that 385-foot sign there, and actually could have had a triple here, I believe, but chose to hold up at second base with 2 outs because you don't make the last out at third base.
Paul O'Neill 0 for 8 lifetime against Jimmy Key, and certainly Jimmy has handled him tonight, striking him out twice looking. So he's just trying to break through against Key, his one-time teammate here in New York. Not the Davey needs us to say. But you know, anyone that really wants to win, here's a manager of the year, and he's at home fishing.
Oh, I tell you.
He's the reigning manager of the year in the American League, and he's not working.
Well, he'd be the man that managed the ball club. If I were a general manager, he'd manage my ball club. That's how much I think of Davey Johnson.
Outside to O'Neill, 2-1. Davey Johnson Nugget. In the 10 full seasons that he's had as a manager of the Major League Club, not one that he picked up midway or maybe got fired in the middle. His club's finished first or second all 10 seasons. What more can you do?
You can't do anymore. You just can't.
You played for him, you coached under him. And again, there's no knock at Ray. Ripped. Past Palmero for a base hit. Here comes Jeter around third, being waved home by Randolph. There'll be no throw. And the Yankees have busted up into a 6-1 lead. Paul probably feels relieved.
Well, I'm sure he does. And boy, do they have some firepower or what? Here you see, he got him away 2 times, and then he tries to come in. Uh-oh, wrong decision. Boom, base hit, bullet to right field. That's when pitchers try to get a little too smart.
6 runs on 8 hits now for the Yankees, and Derek Jeter is a homer away from the cycle. And that, that's exciting. That is. And the Yankees are excited. And the crowd. Williams walked and scored in the first inning, struck out in the second. What was it? Mike Blowers had the cycle the other day. His first triple in like forever. The last Yankee to hit for his cycle was a couple of years ago, Tony Fernandez. Got an interesting little number here for you if we have time to bring this out.
Bring it on out.
Well, let me find it, because in all of my notes, you know me, I come somewhat disheveled to these games, right?
Well, it's not like you're not doing anything.
Well, thank you.
I see you everywhere.
Yeah, well, we had a big night, the 20,000 show.
I saw you all dressed up.
Tuxedo, and that was fun. It was a great night. It means fans like what we do, and we appreciate everyone saying, even the ballpark. We were watching it yesterday. Hey, congratulations. I don't really know what it is to be 20,000 shows, but I know that there are people out there that have watched a lot of them, and we appreciate that. But count is 3-0. Do you hit them? Yeah, sure you do. And speaking of, well, this will segue perfectly into where I'm going. By the way, it's his birthday today.
What?
David Wells' birthday. He gave himself his own present 3 days ago. Happy birthday, Boomer, from one Boomer to another. Now, listen, let me use this. This is the best graphic we've used on Baseball Tonight in years. Perfect games. There have now been 15 in Major League history. 4 home run games. There have been 12. Unassisted triple plays. There have been 9. Cycles. 218. We've had that this year with Blowers.
Right.
We've had a perfect game this year with Wells.
Right.
We've been close to 4 home run games this year with McGuire twice. Inside the park grand slam. Only 206 in the history of baseball. Dan Wilson did it earlier this year. Sky to right field. Hammonds is there. O'Neill is stranded. And Derek Jeter. Single, double, triple. We've had perfect games. We've had brawls. Will we see a cycle at Yankee Stadium tonight? 6 runs, 8 hits, no errors for the Yankees. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors for the Orioles as we begin the 5th inning here in the ball yard in the Bronx. Chris Berman along with Ray Knight, and Jared Jeter is certainly has given us something to stay for no matter what the score is. Could there be a cycle 3 days after a perfect game in the same park? I mean, I don't even know what to put the odds on that. Only 15 perfect games ever, only 218 cycles ever, and well, just when we thought it was safe to move on to another subject, Irabu hits his second batter. You know, we spent 4 innings talking about it. I thought we could move on. Well, let's look.
Well, he's been wild on 2 pitches. This is almost behind him, right at his kneecap.
That's going to hurt you.
That is really going to hurt. And that ball was way off the plate. But again, it's in the right spot, so I'm not going to say anything about it. Anything more about it.
Just interesting.
Yeah, I like the way you're not sure about this, are you?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. That's a.
Well, neither are the umpires if something would have been said.
There goes Brady. Run by Posada. He's meat. Jorge Posada has whipped off 2 throws tonight, one of which has been successful, one which almost was. That'll make you lean up on your seat a little bit and say, hey, this young man can catch.
Well, that first time when he almost threw out Alomar, you see here, this is a good jump here, and Brady just saying, well, here, I'm coming right at you. But look at his throw. This thing is right on the money. Anywhere else he's safe, and Posada is for real.
Strike on the inside corner to Jeffrey Hammonds, 1-1. Salmons had a sac fly in the first to drive in Anderson, who tripled for the lone Oriole run. Lined out to third baseman Brocious. He's the ball pretty well tonight twice.
Yeah, he has. But going back to Irabu, it's funny that he's been up and down in the strike zone all night long, but he has not been in and out.
Back goes Bernie Williams to center field. Track makes the catch. Hammonds has been the guy that's been hammering the ball tonight, but he's yet to have a base hit for his efforts against Irabu. Always, though, with a pair of hits at least every game, Carl Rapp.
Well, Boomer, if Jeter could do this, he'd have the cycle. Alex Rodriguez, yard early on in the game against Darren Oliver. He goes deep. He later came up with the bases loaded and walked, so he's on his way to a big game. It's 3-0 Seattle.
These 2 guys are good friends. Rabby, Jeter, and A-Rod try to outdo each other when they play. A friendly rivalry. Alomar grounds to Knobloch on 1 pitch. A 6-pitch inning for Irabu, who has staked to a 6-1 lead. All right, Rabby, the Yankees lead at 6-1 here over the Orioles as we start the bottom of inning number 5. Timmy Raines. RBI single and scored a run in the first, grounded to second base in the third. So McGuire has 20, Ray. What do you think?
That's in danger, man. I've said it all along.
Little looper over Alomar, base hit for Raines, his second of the night. And you know, the night we thought that we saw the 527-foot homer the night we were there, and we showed that video. I mean, he just launched one longer than that over the weekend. He's unbelievable. Hey, speaking of guys that can hit, how about Tony Gwynn and the San Diego Padres against DL Bagwell and the Houston Astros? The Pods and Stros Sunday Night Baseball at 8 Eastern with John and Joe and respective leaders in their divisions. Tony Gwynn with 8 batting championships, and he could easily win number 9 this year. You know, and little over 200 hits, he can get to 3,000 this season. He could do it. So he's missed some time already with the knee. You got to really be in there for 150 games to get 200 hits, even if you're.
Oh, you do. You have to play every day and hit somewhere in the top 1 or 2, sometimes 3, but 1 or 2 in the lineup, and be on a very productive offensive club.
Curtis hit by a pitch, flew out to center field. He ahead of him 0-2. Hammonds is there and right to make the play. Raines back to first base. And that'll bring up Jorge Posada, who is impressed behind the plate and who shot down the right field line was a 2-run double in the first inning.
Well, you know, Chris, early in the year we were talking about how Joe Torre is going to play Joe Girardi 2 games and Posada 2 games, and actually Posada has now passed Girardi in games played. He's been in 25 games to Girardi's 20. This is Posada's 26th start tonight, and actually has 85 at-bats now to Girardi's 64. So slowly but surely, it's starting to turn more toward Posada.
But I don't think it'll be a case where he catches 5 out of the 7 games this season.
Probably not, but the way he's impressed, and everybody down there today was talking about this young man defensively. Offensively, he came in hitting .272 with 5 bombs and just 13 RBIs, but they talk about how well he handles pitchers and that outstanding throwing arm that he has. And it won't be long before Joe Torre eventually makes that transition. It may not be this year because Girardi is so good with the pitchers and they like him so much, but it's hard to keep a young player down when he's playing this well.
Alomar, the flip to Bordick, over to Palmeiro. So Posada hits into a DP, and the Orioles can stride off the field with a little more pride. One problem, they trail 6-1. Top of the 6th inning, the Yankees with 4 in the first and 2 in the fourth. Lead the Orioles 6-1 behind Hideki Irabu, who has certainly not been as sharp as we've seen him this year. But I don't know, the last time I checked, 1 run on 2 hits through 5. Thank you very much. I mean, the Orioles had their chances against them, and swinging at 3-0 pitches, and
well, the Orioles
trying to make something happen, and it's not.
Yeah, the Orioles are just all out of sync. You know, you're seeing swinging at 3-0 pitches and running down 6-1. Baseball, like any other game, cannot be forced. You got to let things happen. You got to do things at the proper time. You hit and run. It's like Joe Torre right there with Brosas and Soho. It's a perfect situation to hit and run with a guy that makes contact, a guy that has average speed. It doesn't work out, so what?
He hangs one and pulls the string on Rafael Palmeiro. Strikeout for the first out of the inning. Let's go to Carl Rabbit.
All right, Boomer, the Royals do have some guys who can hit. Of course, Morris on the DL. Jeff King getting the job done. Jeff Conine also helping out in this game. This double scores the veteran Dean Palmer. Right now, they are up 4-2 on top of the Indians. Back to you.
All right, Carl, Harold Growing Baines, the 39-year-old DH who grew up, of course, in the Baltimore area and come back for another tour of duty with the O's. Irabu was not allowed a hit since Ripken led off the 2nd inning. The base hit up the middle. To prove it's a different night, Ray, he struck out what? Just 2 thus far. Going into the game, I mean, he's much more of a fastball pitcher.
Well, he's actually thrown a lot of fastballs tonight, Chris. He hasn't located them as well. But coming into tonight, he had 30 strikeouts in 32 innings, almost averaging 1 per inning.
That's what I mean. Knobloch, tough chance, too tough. Base hit for Baines. So as soon as we say that he hadn't allowed a hit since early in the 2nd inning, a base hit for Baines.
Well, the one thing that he's done tonight, and he'd only hit 1 batter coming into tonight's game, and that's in 32 innings, only 1 hits batsman, and tonight 2 hit batters, as you.
So the hit batters are up and the strikeouts are down.
Something's bothering him.
Yep. An equipment problem.
Looks like his belt.
Well, you hate when that happens. Don't tell me we have Dunlop disease.
No, what that is.
Eating too well on the food spread after the game.
Yeah, I hate those belts. Those are the kind of belts that are elastic and they stretch, and they have terrible buckles on them. And there's a leather belt that I always wore, but they always issue that elastic belt. And you look right there, the buckle is so flimsy, the rivets are really thin, and they come apart all the time. So it's not Dunlop disease, it's just bad belts. In fact, he's lost 15 pounds from last year.
I know it. It's the first time on national television that we here at ESPN, over our 20,000 sports centers, have brought to you live a new belt being put on. That's pretty exciting video, actually. We're going to go on our some of our fitness programs on ESPN2 in the morning. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent, with or without a good belt.
What happened to disseminated?
I don't. I hate that word. I'm still befuddled. Here's Cal, 1 for 2, base hit in the second, flew out to right, and the third inning. Well, the Orioles, they face Andy Pettitte tomorrow night. You know what? This is Cal's 10,000th at bat.
That's a lot of trips up there.
Yeah. Ripped off the glove of Brochus. Tries to, what a foolish throw. It's beyond Knobloch. Baines will go to third base. I gotta think that's a base hit for Ripken in an era that allows the runner Baines to go to third. We'll wait for the call, but
I don't think
10,000th at bat, he gets a base hit.
I don't think there's any question about it being a base hit. That was a rocket that just ate Scott Brosas up, and then he made a ill-advised throw to second base. But that's what happens when you have a runner like Baines who doesn't run well. Actually, they've given 2 errors on the play.
So they're not going to give Cal a hit, huh?
Not going to give him a hit. But that's why these.
You're kidding me.
I hate official scores. I really do. This ball is a rocket. Unless you played third base, there is no way to know how this doggone ball gets to you so quickly. That ball was a rocket hitting 3 feet in front of him. Got it on the in-between hop. 1 error on the throw. Base hit on a ball hit that hard. That's ridiculous.
10,000th at bat. You're not going to give him a base hit?
Well, you're not give it to him. He earned it. That was a rocket down there.
So is this one by B.J. Surhoff. Baines scores. Ripken to third. Surhoff with a double. 6-2. And some action now in the Yankee bullpen. That's just 2 errors to Brocious on that play. Well, there was no question with that one, as Surhoff just bombed it down the line.
Well, here it is. He comes back with a fastball again, and there's the ball down the middle of the plate. As you pointed out, not as sharp as his control as he has been. Mel Stottlemyre talking to him. Before the game, Mel Stottlemyre said the difference in Hideki Irabu this year, no matter what anybody says, is his command in the strike zone. Last year, he threw too many pitches, fat, right over the middle of the plate. This year, he's been able to throw the corners much better. Forget that his curveball has improved, his split finger. He's done most of his damage with his fastball, located.
Darren Holmes, the one-time Rocky, is the right-hander, and Graham Lloyd, who came flying in from the bullpen last night with Jeff Nelson and really got the punches going. He went right after Benitez, who was serving a suspension. Lloyd will serve a 3-game suspension after Darryl Strawberry serves his 3 games. You cannot have 3 suspensions at the same time.
Yeah, Lloyd's about the only guy that could match up really well with Benitez. Benitez about 6'6", 240, and Lloyd 6'7", 245. So
well,
they were 2 heavyweights going at it.
I had a nice talk with Graham in the locker room before the game. This is Chris Hoyles, and I said, you know what? He says, yeah, I know what you're going to say. Australian rules football. It was Geelong against Carlton last night. I said, Geelong's my team. I'm glad you mentioned that. He said, yeah, it did look like a little Aussie football, didn't it? Soho near the stands. Ball curled back toward the grass. He made the play. 2 outs, and the runners hold. So here's where the Baltimore Oriole team trailing 6-2 just needs a little excuse-me base hit, and they could be in the game.
No question. And, you know, this makes me think about Mike Piazza. Not anything to do with Lenny Webster or Chris Hoyles, but a lot of times in this situation, a ball club needs a real boost, and Piazza's out there for the bidding. Certainly Angelos has the money to bid for him, and this would be the place that I would think Piazza would end up, only because of the fact that this team's struggling so much. And I remember when the Reds were struggling and the Dodgers were beating up on us in '77, they went out and acquired Tom Seaver in a blockbuster trade. Trading almost our whole minor league system. Steve Henderson, Norman, Zachary, Doug Flynn. We gave away all our minor leagues basically to get Tom Seaver, and because the Dodgers had jumped off to a 10-game lead. Nonetheless, we didn't catch him, but
fastball swung on a miss by Mike Bordick. Orioles swept by Tampa Bay, losers of 6 straight. Lost here last night. They play Andy Pettitte tomorrow. And then just check out their schedule coming up. As they play Oakland, who hits well. They're going to be home and home with Seattle, who certainly hits well. They're home to 4 against Texas, who certainly hits well. They're 2 at Boston, and then they're 3 at home against Atlanta. Let me tell you something.
Things could get a lot worse.
Yes, they could. Machina's on the DL. And look, it's 6-2 with 2 runners in scoring position and 2 feeble foul outs by the Baltimore Orioles. Bordick fouls to Posada. The rally is stifled. The Yankees still with a big lead, 6-2.
You're good, but baseball is not loud.
Tony Gwynn and the Padres travel to the Astrodome to take on Moises Alou and the Stros. Sunday at 8 on ESPN.
It's a grand game.
Bottom of the 6th inning, the Yankees lead the Orioles 6-2, and Scott Brocious will lead it off. Brocious singled his last time up. They have made a change. Obviously, the scorer gets ESPN, and they have made a change. Brocious sends it back. No question about the scoring on that one. It's a home run. What I was trying to say is Brocious just celebrated. He only got 1 error on the shot by Rick, and they've changed it to a single and a throwing error. He says, oh, okay, I only got 1 error. Here's a home run.
Or maybe he hadn't been informed yet, and he was mad because he had 2 errors.
Oh, yeah, well, then maybe they shouldn't tell him. Maybe they've changed the official score to 3 errors.
Yeah, 2 on him and 1 on Jimmy Key.
Right. Well, so the run that the Orioles are here scrapping and just trying to get a run. 1 pitch, 1 swing. It's now a 5-run bulge again for the Yankees. Brocious' 2nd home run of the year. His first base hit of the year. Luis Sojo in the rain is aboard. Brocious just wheeled on that, didn't he, Ray?
Yeah, he did. He got the ball right where he wanted it. It had a little surprising power. Scott Brocious, no more for his glove, hitting well over 300 this year. Fastball right down the middle where you love to jump all over, and he did up there in that 2nd deck. That's right around 400 feet away. That ball is deep.
So while Brocious celebrates, or at least is happy, you don't do a lot of celebrating on the bench. They're professional in every way, shape, and form. And here's Chuck Knobloch. Singled and scored in the 1st, walked and scored in the 4th. Also flew out to center field in the 2nd inning.
Well, Darryl Strawberry addressed that, being on that championship club in 1986 with the New York Mets just across town. He talked about how emotional we were on that ball club and how this ball club seemed to be much more as confident, but much more reserved and more professional going about their business day in and day out. wonder why Jimmy Key's still in the ball game, 7-2, as Baltimore starts to heat up their bullpen. It's just that they have not gone deep in very many of their games with their starters, and the bullpen has been so ineffective that you try to get as many as you can out of Jimmy Key in a ball game like this, and eventually hope that bullpen catches fire.
There's Mike Flanagan, who knows that he needs Key to eat up innings, even though Doug Drabeck up in the bullpen with the starters, along with Norm Charlton.
Well, that shows you what has happened to the bullpen, having to go to task every night.
Little flare that Alomar goes out on. Hammonds comes in on, and Jeffrey makes a nice sliding catch. So Knobloch is retired, and here comes our man of the hour, Derek Jeter. Our Kelly Springfield Tires key plays of the game. Second man up for the Yankees in this ball game was Jeter. He hit a triple to score Knobloch in the second inning. Hits a single in the fourth inning. Hits a double to right center. We saw a perfect game here on Sunday. Can we possibly see a cycle here on Wednesday? Only 218 cycles have been hit in the history of the Major League.
And the fans are on their feet here, anticipating that. How many times do you see fans get up on their feet in the bottom of the sixth inning? They're aware. You know that these Yankee fans are aware of what's going on.
Strike call, 1-1. 10 Yankees have hit for the cycle 14 times. Bob the Man Musial has done it 3 times. Joe DiMaggio and Lou Gehrig have done it twice. Mickey Mantle, Bobby Mercer, Tony Lazzeri. First one was a guy named Bert Daniels, Buddy Rozar, Joe Gordon, and the last one was Tony Fernandez. Get on any list with Gehrig and DiMaggio, it's okay. Well, Jimmy hadn't given him a home run pitch yet, but the count is 3-1. Maybe it's coming.
Well, you could bet right here, 3-1. He's going to unbutton a couple of buttons and take a rip if this ball is anywhere close. Got a 7-2 lead. Jeter's one of those players that does not play for himself, very unselfish. But right here, he's thinking one thing: get a ball in the area and take a big hack at it.
Well, he tried to, but didn't get enough of it. Off the end of the bat, and that was really his ball was still a little bit low to jack out, wasn't it?
It may have been down. It may have been down just a little bit, but that 3-1 count was right where he wanted to be. And actually, that's about the same place the ball was that he hit the left field, but he chose the wrong place to do it. This situation, you got to try to pull the ball down the line. It's almost like a 3-0 count, because you're not going to hit the ball out in center field, but he did. Looks like he just caught the ball a little bit, as you said, on the end of the bat.
Tell you what, even watching him swing as Paul O'Neill comes up, base hit his last time up, along with 2 strikeouts. Even watching that shot right there, looks more of a power hitting swing than we saw from the first 2 years.
Yeah, he had a tendency to move forward with his body, and a lot of times as you mature and grow stronger, as he's hit 10 home runs the last 2 years, in each of the last 2 years, you get more selective and you learn to stay behind the ball better, Chris. He moved forward a lot. He hit a lot of balls to right field, up the middle, just trying to make contact. With strength and confidence, you can become a home run hitter when you have his type of swing. He's got a slight uppercut, slightly long swing, and there's no reason why he can't hit 20 home runs or more.
As I told you, last 2 seasons, averaging 10 each year, and he's got 7 already this year. Number 8 tonight would be special. 2-2 the count to O'Neill, with Bernie Williams on deck.
Let's watch what Jimmy Key does here. He's gone away twice with O'Neill and punched him out, actually called out on fastballs. Then he tried to get him inside. Again, He hit a P to right field. Now he comes back 2-2. I think he's going to have to try to go away with him one more time.
O'Neill was ready for it. And plunks in front of Surhoff. Soho stops at second base. 2 men on for the Yankees with 2 outs.
Well, that's why O'Neill hits 300 year in and year out. He knows now through the way that Key has pitched him through this ball game what he's going to get. As we see Miller come out, he looks for the fastball away, and here he goes. He gets it and stays right on it, puts his head on the ball, flips it out to left field, and that's why he's a 300 hitter. Jimmy Key had working away, and although he had to extend himself, look how he just put his head on that baseball and went to left field.
So Jimmy Key will leave. He came in 9-1 in Yankee Stadium as a road pitcher. ESPN Wednesday Night Baseball is brought to you by the National Thoroughbred Racing Association. Go, baby, go! Back at Yankee Stadium, Jimmy Key has been knocked out by his ex-teammates. And now into the game for the Orioles, trailing 7-2, is a one-time nasty boy, left-hander Norm Charlton, who is not afraid to work inside, Ray.
No, he's not. If there's anybody in the world that will nail somebody, it's Norm Charlton. You see there, he's been hammered pretty hard this year, 24 hits in 16 innings. But this man doesn't back up from anything, and you'll probably find out pretty quick if he's got anything in his mind about hitting somebody.
Well, there's 2 guys on. His first deal is to get out of the inning.
Yeah, it is.
Soho at second, O'Neill at first with 2 outs, and here's Bernie Williams. Yeah, they took a shot back. What, did he break his nose just recently? More fortunate than Mike Mussina, who had to go on the DL for the second time, and there's Key. Done for the night. Charlton appeals over to Ted Henry at first. He did not go. Yeah, Jimmy gave up the 4 in the first inning and
just never really had that real good changeup that he throws, and his breaking ball was not sharp at all. So they set on his fastball and actually just hammered him. 12 base hits in 5 innings. That's pretty serious offensive production. And that, you know, when I'm talking about Norm Charlton, he is known for just being a very tough competitor, and he would bust people inside, but he is another great professional, and not in any way am I saying that he would throw at somebody in this situation, but I know that he's not afraid to.
That was down and in nasty that Bernie Williams swung on the miss. 2-1. Pitch inside, 3-1. Soho is at second base. Paul O'Neill, the runner, at first base. Yankees looking to pad this 7-2 lead they've had since the first inning when they picked up 4 off Jimmy Key.
One thing that Ray Miller teaches, and I know all you people at home have heard this, is work fast, throw strikes, and get ahead of people. And that's one thing that Charlton has not been able to do, is get ahead of people. All year long, he's been behind people 2-0, 3-1, and as a result, he has been hammered hard. And if you look at this Oriole pitching staff and the games that I've seen and looking at their stats, they've not been able to get ahead of people. They've had a lot of walks, which is something that Ray Miller's staffs never have, and they have not been able to get deep in ball games. Kamenecki only averaging 5 innings. Messina out now 7 innings. Drabek just a little over 4 innings per start. Erickson 6 innings, and Jimmy Key a little over 5. So that gives you an indication why the bullpen is already cooked, because the starters just can't get deep enough in games.
Timmy Raines up with the bases loaded. Here's Scott Erickson, who will go tomorrow night. Signed a new long-term deal. Our congratulations to Scotty. Raines looks at ball 2. So Charlton has come in on 7 pitches, 6 of them balls. Won last year with the Mariners. Ripped by Raines over leaping Bordick. Soho scores. O'Neill scores. 9-2 Yankees. Those runs will be charged to Jimmy Key, so he's responsible for all 9 of them. Boy, Timmy Raines, 3rd hit tonight. He's been on it.
He sure has. This is what happens when you're 2-0, boy. They just lay all over that fastball, and there it was right down the heart of the plate. When you have trouble throwing strikes early in the count, don't get ahead of hitters, then that doggone barn door just flies open and everything comes rushing out of there. I guarantee you, a hitter, big league hitters, when they're ahead in the count, are going to hit the ball hard if you throw it somewhere around the plate.
17 base runners tonight for the Yankees. 13 of them on base hits. Curtis behind 0-2. Derek Jeter, of course, has 3 of them, a single, a double, and triple. Looks like he will have another at bat. Irabu looking to win for the 3rd time against no defeats.
Well, he just looks like he's always out on an evening stroll, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He doesn't look like he's broken a sweat.
He works that gun pretty good. Very nice play, by the way, by Chris Hoyle.
It was a nice play. He is an outstanding defensive catcher. As far as blocking balls last year, didn't make an error in 53 consecutive games. He's always been outstanding at receiving the ball and blocking the ball. But as we mentioned, his arm is just not what it once was because of those shoulder operations.
Busted him down and in. Curtis strikes out swinging, but not until the Yankees add 3 runs to lead it 9-2. Top of the 7th in New York. The Yankees lead the Orioles 9-2. Looking to tighten the tourniquet a little bit more and put the Orioles 13 games behind them in the standings. Our pitching summary brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paint and Wallpaper Stores. And now the pitching numbers on Jimmy Key complete and not good. ERA goes from 3.04 to 4.06. 12 runs, 9 hits, and 5 2/3. Meanwhile, Hideki Irabu, who threw a lot of pitches in the first few innings, sitting on a 2-run, 5-hit performance as he starts Brady Anderson up with a pop-up. Foul ground, and 3 straight outs have been foul pops by the Orioles.
That's chasing that pitch up. Irabu has that rising fastball, and anytime it's up in the strike zone, you have a tendency to hit the bottom of it because it just stays there. You hit pop-ups to the catcher, to the infielders.
Jeffrey Hammonds has been the one Oriole. Well, Cal has 2. Hammonds and Cal have hit the ball hard tonight off Irabu. Hammonds with a sac fly in the first, a line out to Brocious at the 3rd, a long fly ball out to Williams in center field. So here's when you know it's not going good. You rip the ball 3 times and you have no hits.
Yeah, he has swung the bat well tonight, Jeffrey Hammonds.
And again, the right center field. Bernie, oh, what a nice play by Williams to hold that to a single.
And that is what I like about this ball club. 9-2, Bernie Williams busts his tail over there, gets to the ball, keeps the ball to a single, keeps a double play in order with 1 out, and lets Irabu know now, hey, I make 1 good pitch, I'm out of the inning with a double play. Great play right there. Watch how he gets a jump on this ball right here. Tries to catch the ball all out, and they play everything all out. Changes his angle just so he can stop the ball, and Hammond's up ready, hustling hard, but could not make the turn to second base, and rightfully so.
That's one of the reasons as Robbie Alomar steps up, 2 walks and a ground out to second. that this Yankee team at 29-9, and when you talk about history of the Yankees, Ray, you talk about really almost the history of baseball. It's tied for the second best start in franchise history after 38 games. Slow roller to Knobloch. Oh, that ball just rolled up on his arm. Now, that was a tough hop, but he'll have to get an error there.
Well, not that tough a hop. That's a play right there where I think Chuck looked like he might have wanted to go to second base. Really, with the ball hit that slowly and the speed of Hammond, you have no chance to go there. Watch Knobloch here and let's see what he does. Ball's hit real slowly. Ball just comes up a little bit. What he did there, young people at home, is he set his feet, and his feet got to be like concrete. When you do that, your hands get hard. You got to keep those feet moving.
Joe Torre out to the mound. That'll be it for Irabu. A standing ovation in New York for Hideki Irabu, who leads with a 7-run lead. 9-2 the Yanks here in the top of the 7th. Irabu out. Graham Lloyd is in. And his performance last night firing out of the dugout was not lost on the Yankee fans when he came in. Swing of the first pitch is Palmeiro. Lefty against lefty. And with one pitch, Lloyd gets Palmeiro, a dangerous hitter, to fly out to left. And there's what Lloyd has done. And, you know, he came over to the Yankees in that trade from Milwaukee during the '96 season. Was horrible, but in the World Series, changed everything around. He was tremendous in the pen. One of the big reasons the Yankees changed that series around. Had a big job in that Game 4 and the game the Leyritz won, you know, eventually tied with a home run. And he's been a valuable contributor to this club since. As Joe Carter is the pinch hitter at the plate. Righty for lefty. He'll pitch hit for Harold Baines.
Just a freshman.
Red Sox final with Pedro Martinez, 7 with 4 hits. And he's electric when he pitches. Then there's Irabu, who of course stands to mark the 3-0.
Just a freshman in memory, Graham Lloyd came back in 1996. Was 0-2 with a 17.47 earned run average for the Yankees after coming over from Milwaukee. As you said, he was horrible. Then had that great World Series. 17.47, I would say.
Pretty bad. But he was big in that series. I mean, it was the unsung Yankees that helped change that around. Starts the Sarge off 1-1 with Joe Carter.
Normally he's a guy that you can go to in 3 or 4 nights in a row. Usually to get one hitter out. 2 hitters this year, 11 appearances, just 9 innings.
Carter with 281. If you look at Irabu, 281 lifetime home runs, 19 more, and he could get to that 400 plateau. Saw McGuire become the 26th man to get to 400. Joe Carter could become the 27th player in baseball history to get to 400 home runs if he has a 22 home run season. He has 3 right now.
It's going to be hard for him to get that many at bats. That's one of the dilemmas that Ray Miller has, is getting Eric Davis and Joe Carter and Baines and Hammond and Surhoff and Anderson all in the lineup. It's very difficult to do.
Fly ball to straightaway right. O'Neill is there. Boy, Graham Lloyd has done the job. And the fans on their feet for it. They gave him a rousing ovation when he came in from the pen. They get it here in New York. 7th inning stretch time. Yankees 9-2. For the 7th at Yankee Stadium, the Yankees owning the Orioles since the first inning, since they hung a 4 spot on Jimmy Key. Posada, Brocious, and Soho. Derek Jeter due up 5th this inning if they get a rally going. Remember, he needs a home run to get a cycle. Hard to say it, and then we had a lot of action. Yankees 29-9 start. Now they're looking to the 30-9 start, but it's the second best they've ever done. 26 Yankees were 29-9, and the 1928 Yankees were 31-7. You're talking in with the best. Third game box score. There's Jeter, who needs the home run for the cycle. 3 for 4. Raines has slugged the ball tonight. following that home run in the 8th inning, that triumphant home run last night. He's 3 for 4. Brocious with a home run, the 2 hits. O'Neill with a pair of hits. Off of a 4 for 5 night for him. Ripken can't get that one. Slugged by Posada to the left field corner. Surhoff will play it off the wall, and Posada is in with his second double of the night. He is double to right. He's double to left. He's had a bottle of red. He's had a bottle of white. It's a Billy Joel night for Posada. Here to sing his Carl Ravitch.
Well, Boomer, I can sing the praises if you want of this guy, Travis Fryman. Came in hitting only about 224, but you know what? On a night that Matt Williams hit a grand slam, Travis Fryman, 3-run home run. Kenny Lofton's got 5 RBIs, and the Indians are up 10-5. Billy?
Thanks, Joe. Ravi's got to throw to 8 million games, and then you throw one away. I understand. Hey, Carl, I'll bring the bigger glove next time. Scott Brocious, who homered deep down the left field line last time up. Brocious homered, singled, struck out the first one. 32,449 tonight. Remember, the Mets are also home tonight. They'll get about 15. That's what happened last night. Yankees, I think, 31. The Mets at 15 for their 29er. 45,000 out in New York watching baseball.
I was over at Shea Stadium today.
You can't take you to the wrong part?
No, I actually went over there to do a thing for Sports Classic on ESPN and Classic Sports. And one of the patrolmen over there said that in the doubleheader yesterday, there were more vendors than there were fans in the first inning. So there were about 500 fans in that first inning of that first ball game.
Well, that's good if you come out to eat and want to watch the game. I mean, you don't have to leave the seat. You sit there. The vendor probably sits next to you. He puts his beer down with the hot dog. As you look at the finals, Ravi told you Matt Williams at the grand slam. The Padres lose the first of 2 in Pittsburgh, huh? Well, coming back big in the second. The new look Dodgers shut out tonight by the Cubs.
Cubs are playing well.
Mm-hmm. That's become a real interesting division, and no one thought it would be. Houston and St. Louis you thought would have good years. Milwaukee's had a good year. The Cubs are one of the night, 1 game out. The Pirates had a nice year last year. They're not at 500 yet, but that's an interesting division.
I think St. Louis is a team to watch. If they can get Matt Morris back and get back Andy Bennis, any kind of pitch in that ball club can be as offensive as anyone. So I look for the Cardinals to really make some noise later on this year.
Mike Flanagan out to the mound. He's telling Charlton, look, we really don't want to blow out our bullpen in this situation. Let's pitch some strikes. Let's maybe get some outs. Bobby Munoz, one-time Yankee, who came in and his first pitch was hit by Raines with a home run last night.
Right. Usually when the pitching coach goes out there, when a guy's walked a couple of hitters or given up something, it's to tell him something that he's doing mechanical. Charlton obviously has struggled with his release point, throwing a lot of balls low. There's a couple reasons for that. You can have a tender arm. You can actually rush off the rubber. I hear more pitching coaches say, stay longer on the rubber. Don't push off of it so quickly.
Well, Flanagan did his job in fly. Calm Charlton down, so just pitch some strikes. Let's get some outs. And Soho skies. There's one down.
Well, Soho has always been a guy that goes up there swinging the bat. He's a lot like Sean Dunston in that respect. Very difficult to walk, so all you have to do is throw the ball somewhere around the plate, and he's hacking. And certainly, with only 10 at-bats coming into the night, he's going to be overly aggressive.
Here is Knobloch. Singled and scored in the first. Walked and scored in the fourth.
See, Charlton still has real good velocity, 91 miles per hour. So it's certainly not arm strength, and you can forget about that arm problem. When a guy's throwing 91, he doesn't have much of an arm problem. That's right around what he threw in his heyday, more around 93, 94 then. But you just see there with his breaking ball, his release point, he just doesn't have the rhythm as hitting is rhythm, so is pitching. You have to get in rhythm with your body, get in sync, keep everything together, and explode all at one time. And what I mean by staying over the rubber is when you set up like he is there and you bring your leg up, you stay back, gather everything, and pop. And what he has a tendency to do there is he's getting back there, but then he's rushing off the mound trying to throw the ball too hard.
On deck, Derek Jeter took care of that hitting streak early in the night with his triple to extend the streak to 15. Then he singled, then he doubled. And we see the homer for the cycle.
Here again, Charlton has gotten himself in a terrible situation, 3-1, great hitter situation, and if he throws this ball anywhere near the strike zone, Knobloch will hit it hard.
He did not. So how about this? Not only does Jeter go for the homer, perhaps, for the cycle, if he gets it, it would be a granny. That's doing it in style. Well, and he's going to do it against the fastball pitcher. As Ray Miller is to the mound, Charlton is gone. Bobby Blue Munoz will come in to face Derek Jeter with a shot at a little history. Bottom of the seventh, Derek Jeter. It'll be exciting if he can hit this one out of here. Only 10 Yankees have ever hit for the cycle. Bobby Munoz, once upon a time, wore these Yankee pinstripes. Came in last night, one pitch range, tagged him for a deep home run. Sacks full of Yankees. Posada, Brochus, Knobloch aboard for Derek Jeter. Only 218 times has anyone hit for a cycle in the history of Major League Baseball. Can this beat 219? Breaking ball, misses outside, ball one. Jeter's triple was to left center. His double was to right center. Working him away, it's 2-0.
Again, Oriole pitcher's just not able to find the strike zone. Bases loaded, comes in and throws two breaking balls down 2-0.
Ripken, Alomar, Palmeiro. So instead of the grand slam, Munoz comes in and certainly does the job, gets Jeter to ground into a double play. We head to the 8th, 9-2 New York. ESPN Wednesday Night Baseball is brought to you by Radica, makers of the original bass fishing game. Get real. Get Radica. Well, the Yankees have been totally Radica tonight. They are eradicating the Baltimore Orioles 9-2 as we hit the top of the 8th. And, well, we've gone from Dave Schultz to Bob Kelly of the Broad Street Bullies. Graham Lloyd, who will serve a suspension over the weekend in Boston, has given way now to Jeff Nelson, who also was in the fracas last night.
Yeah, he was, but Graham threw a little bit better punch than Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff was,
that was kind of a weak right-hander. But one thing about it, he was in there, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. That bullpen, they were all over it.
And as you mentioned, as we talked about, Joe Torre going to... Oh, we're not on there.
We weren't able to dish heads heard it when we were talking to... Hey, if you're Joe Torre, you might as well use these guys, Ray, because, I mean, they're about to be sat down for 3 days, first Lloyd, and then a couple days Nelson. So let's burn them up. Here's our in-game box score for the Orioles, and except for the fact that Hammonds and Ripken have hit the ball hard, of course, Cal, we should say, has 2 hits. Let's remember that scoring change. So that's 2 for 3 for Ripken. See, in his 10,000th at bat, you got to give him a hit, don't you? At any rate, Cal is up to see if he can get hit number 3.
Joe Torre using Graham Lloyd and Jeff Nelson, as you both of them have been suspended, to be served when Strawberry comes back.
Rip by Ripke. Foul. Yeah, if you're tuning in late, here's the way it works. Each team, the Orioles and the Yankees, playing skating a man down. They're with 24 players. They cannot call up anybody from the minors. Strawberry starts his 3-game suspension tonight. Then I assume it's going to be Lloyd's 3, then Nelson's 2. Benitez has an 8-game suspension for Ray Miller. When he's done, Mills will serve 2. Now, the Yankees have not yet decided if they're going to appeal. Benitez says they will. He is not, and I doubt Mills will appeal his 2. Strawberry or either of the other Yankees could appeal, you know. I don't know that they will, but Joe said, hey, they just found out about it when they got to the park at 5 o'clock. Strawberry was going to play anyway, so in case we don't appeal, might as well get 1 game out of the way right now. He said, we got to digest this. They have not officially said that they will not appeal, although I don't know that they will. They'll probably just get done with it.
That's right. I wouldn't appeal it simply because you put it on the back burner and then the appeal goes on for a longer time. And then if you do lose it, you lose your players for the latter part of the season or mid-season.
Grosers with a nice play in the hole.
And like you say, you go ahead and get it out of the way now while you're hot. Let them serve whatever they got to serve and be done with it.
I guess the player himself has to appeal. It's not a club decision,
right.
But Joe said that, that it had not yet been decided at the start of the game. BJ and the Bears, Surhoff. RBI double his last time up in the 6th.
Well, I think that the suspensions are absolutely right on. I think that you have to certainly penalize the perpetrator, and then when somebody responds or reacts, you have to be able to make sure that you take care of that side also. And I think it was handled quickly and aptly.
Good job by Dr. Beauty, the president of the American League. The last thing you want to do is sit and review tape for 4 days on something like this. You just can't. You can't. You're playing. Yeah, Ray Miller has been a stand-up guy. He used to say, this is my lineup. I was waiting for us to catch fire a little bit. As we outlined that schedule for the Orioles, Ray, this pitching doesn't get straightened out. They're going into the teeth of some big-time hitters. I mean, Oakland coming up, and they got home and home with Seattle. They got Texas coming. They got Boston coming. They got Atlanta coming. I mean, these are the next teams on their schedule.
Although this is their 45th game right here into the season, barely a quarter of the way through.
Yeah, I understand.
It's still critical that they mount something, because when you in second place and you're 10 or 11 games behind, you can do something about it. I remember in Cincinnati in '79, we were 11 games behind the Astros at the All-Star break and won the pennant, but we were in second place. When you're behind 3-4 ball clubs, everybody's not going to fall apart, so they better make a move now if they're going to do anything in this division or by the All-Star break. They'll be thinking about what they're going to be doing in the wintertime.
Off the glove of Nelson. Oh, Jeter off a misdirect. The high throw, Soho off the bag. Jeter had a tough play. Boy, he had to break towards second base. Then it was redirected off Nelson's glove, and he couldn't recover in time. Join us for the Indy 500 carburation and pit competition tomorrow at 3 Eastern Time. I know you'll be there, Ray. This is the last chance for teams to run their cars on the track before the Indy 500.
I have been there before, Chris.
Have you been to this?
No, I haven't. I was always playing baseball.
But you know what? I can be Chris Economaki right here. From the pitch. ABC Sports presents Sunday at 11 a.m. Yeah, that would make sense. You're playing baseball. 11 a.m. Sunday, 8 a.m. Pacific. An American Classic, the Indianapolis 500, the 82nd running. Last year's champion, Ari Lewandijk, with the grid.
But about
Indy 500.
Seeing those carburation tests, I played in Indianapolis for 4 years, when I was marred there behind Pete Rose in the early 70s, and I got to see the time trials and the carburation test there at Indy. The Indianapolis Indians were always out of town on that big race day, though.
Fly ball to left field. Curtis coming on. Makes the play. Hoyles is done. And Surhoff back to first.
I'm going to show you the quick reactions of a shortstop here. Derek Jeter, watch right here as this ball is hit. Look how quickly he moves to the left and then stops as that ball is deflected. Gets his feet set really quickly. And even if the throw would have been there, Surhoff, who runs very well, it would have been a bang-bang play. But really quick feet to play shortstop in the big leagues. Most high school and American League shortstops that are drafted as shortstops end up playing third base in the major leagues. Not too many people can handle the range and all the flexibility, the arm that it takes to be a major league shortstop.
Mike Bordick up the middle, little flare for a base hit. Surhoff, whose single earlier this inning was his second hit of the night, stops at second base. And the Orioles have a couple on with 2 out.
Chris, I want to make sure that I said American Legion. I didn't say American League. It sounded like I said American League, and high school and American Legion players that are drafted, or even college players. Knobloch was a shortstop at Texas A&M. There are a lot of people out there that play shortstop, but when they get to the big leagues, they're real quickly moved over to second, third, because all those shortstops are from the Dominican Republic, aren't they?
Yeah, every one of them.
San Pedro de Macorís.
You're still thinking about Trois Rivières.
Oh, man. I've played in a few places, man. There's a shortstop.
From Havre de Grace.
Yes, sir. It's right up the road.
There's one that's not from San Pedro de Macorís.
And it's funny, Cal came up as a third baseman in the minor leagues, and they moved him to shortstop. One good reason, Brooks Robinson was still there, and Doug DeCinces came along, and Mark Belanger retired.
Ooh. Shot right back to the on-deck circle. It's not that far away here at Yankee Stadium. Mike Stanton throwing in the Yankee pen. Jeffrey Hammonds had to be alert. He didn't have much of a chance there. That was a shot only Dominic Hasek could have stopped. Ole the goalie. Washington Buffalo series starts on ESPN. So that's a tough call. That's a tough call, that series. To left field, Curtis is there. Anderson is gone. And the Orioles strand a pair heading to the bottom of the 8th. 9-2 New York.
Until now, sanding any surface.
The Athletics at Anaheim coming up next.
Happy birthday again to the Boomer, David Wells, who gave everybody a present here on Sunday, and those that watched, as he authored the 15th perfect game in Major League Baseball history, only the second ever at famed Yankee Stadium. And how about he and Don Larson going to the same high school in San Diego?
Isn't that something? I had the great pleasure to coach in Cincinnati with David Wells, and he is a pure guy and just a wonderful guy.
And a tribute to Boomer's perfect game tomorrow night on Classic Sports at 8 Eastern Time. Little chopper by Paul O'Neill. Alamar Palmero one down. A tribute to the perfect game. We'll have highlights from memorable perfect games, including Don Larson's game right here at Yankee Stadium, in which Joe Torre was a high school kid from Brooklyn and had a ticket to the game, was sitting in the upper deck. Don Zimmer, who's here in the park, was a member of the Dodgers. It was perfected. We'll also look at Jim Bunning's Father's Day Classic, done not far from here. I watched that game on TV. Father's Day, 1964, Phillies against the Mets. That's tomorrow night at 8 o'clock here on ESPN. It's the only two players have been on the same team, have been on teams that have authored two perfect games. What I'm trying to spit out is Paul O'Neill, who was just up, was in right field for Tom Browning's perfect game with the Reds, and of course was right field here on Sunday for David Wells. The other man is Reggie Jackson. Actually, there's a couple. Let me get this straight here. Reggie was the DH for California when Mike Witt did it at the end of the season. Jeff Reboulet is the new third baseman in place of Ripken. He was also in right field when Cat Hunter had his in '68. But the one I like the most is Ron Hassett, caught two. Len Barker caught that one. And of course, now as I feverishly go through my notes, I'm doing this all off the top of my head, I can't find the other one that the Babe caught, but I will in a minute. Must be on my O'Neill page. El Presidente. Len Barker in 81, Dennis Martinez in 91, Montreal. So Reggie, Paul O'Neill, Ron Hassett, only three players who have been on the side with which their pitcher had a perfect game. That's pretty exciting. Bernie Williams walks. I finally spit it out. Here's Carl Ravitch.
Hi, Boomer. They came in tied with 16 home runs apiece to lead the American League, but A-Rod has gone yard twice, and he has 18 now, too shy of the Major League lead behind McGuire, who took the night off. Boomer, Billy, the Billy Joel reference.
Yeah. I feel like, well, trying to spit that one out, it was like Captain Jack Rabbit. A-Rod second in the majors in home runs. Ryan McGuire's 20, A-Rod with 18, Vinny with 17, Junior with 16. Now here's a little trivia note about the batter Tim Raines. He was one of 8 players that was in the majors when we did our first sports thing that's still playing. Another guy in the park tonight, Jesse Orozco, was active when we did Sports Center #1 on September 7th, 1979. I know you're wondering, Ray. As I said last week, this is the time of the game when you unload the closet. I know you're wondering who the other 6 were.
You're doing it.
Dennis Eckersley, Ricky Henderson, Paul Molitor, Dennis Martinez, and Mike Morgan. My closet is now empty. That was the old sneakers that were in the back that were stinking up the closet. Raines has really hit the ball hard tonight. 3 hard hit singles along with a ground out to second. Timmy with 3 RBIs. RBI single in the first, 2-run single is last at bat of the 6th. I asked back to the perfect games. I asked Don Zimmer how many no-hitters he'd seen. He said, I don't know, 10, 11, 12. Monza. It's a lot.
Hey, he's been around longer than anybody.
Raines will sit. And that'll bring up Chad Curtis.
Chad Curtis.
Bernie Williams, runner at first base. Curtis 0 for 3 and was hit by a pitch. And Curtis hits one down the right field side. Bernie can fly. Here's the Reeves being held up at third base as Hammonds went over pretty quickly and got the ball over to Robbie Alomar. Randolph went way down the line and decided to hold up Bernie. So a double for Curtis and the 22nd Yankee base runner tonight. 22 base runners, Ray.
Well, this is an offensive machine. Munoz throwing the ball real well, Chet. Curtis breaking ball that just hangs and stays right on the ball, drives it down that right field line. With 2 outs, Vernon Williams running as hard as he can, as he always does. Remember the play in center field here? Only a real good throw to the cutoff man. Stops him at third.
Jorge Posada, who has doubled twice. One to right field, one to left field. The Yankees get to double figures again.
If I'm not mistaken, Chris, this is Don Zimmer's 50th year in the big leagues.
Yes, it is.
Is that right?
That's what he told me.
50th year in the big leagues. Or actually 50th year in professional baseball.
Yes. Doesn't look a day more than 48 years in professional baseball, does it?
Oh, man.
I just love going to talk to Zim every time we do a Yankee game. Let's just talk some baseball. The Yankees have played what, Ray? 38 games. They've already hit double figures 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Well, they won't hit it 7 times unless the Orioles stage a miraculous 9th inning. So it's to the 9th inning we trudge, with the Yankees ahead 9-2.
I'm Yankee Ricky Henderson of the A's getting set to take on the Angels. Hendo, 3 home runs, 16 RBIs, a series dominated by the Angels, comes your way after the conclusion of the O's Yanks. Boomer?
All right, Carl, 9-2 the Yankees here in the top of the 9th, and the Yankees, if people forget that they started 1-4. 1-4. And they're about to go 29-5 since that 1-4 start, Ray, included, in which was a 22-2 spur. Here is Darren Holmes. So Joe letting everybody work in the bullpen tonight. Darren Holmes came over from the Colorado Rockies, and after being admonished a little bit by George Steinbrenner, immediately pitched very well the next few outings.
Well, he has a real good curveball, probably as good a curveball, true curveball as there is in the game. Good fastball, about 90-mile-an-hour fastball, throws that curveball a lot.
Well, if you're Joe Torre, Gene Monahan, Yankee trainer, Don Zimmer. I got 2.5 weeks to figure out that Belmont. if you're Joe Torre, what do you really? I know it's only what 39 games, but what kind of team do you think you're going to end up with here this year, Ray? I mean, what kind of things is this team capable of that we haven't yet seen? I mean, they haven't gotten a great start from not blocking. Remember, it took a month for Williams and O'Neill to hit home runs. Cone was like, what, the 5th best pitcher on the team right now, or 4th or 5th? It's not like everyone's, as you say, is having any career start.
Well, I think that they're playing as well as they're going to play. Anytime you're 20 games over 500 going into your 40th ball game, you're not going to play much better than that. Just law of averages, you're not going to play better than that. But the fact is, as you say, Chris, they have so many weapons that they can go to, and I just think they're going to continue this right on and win 100+ ball games. And I just don't foresee them going into any slump, prolonged slump. The only time that you can go into a prolonged slump is if your starting pitching just breaks down completely. And it looks like to me with Cone and certainly Mendoza's pitched extremely well of late.
Hey, you know who's actually struggling the last few outings is Pettit.
Pettit's the only guy that has struggled recently. Mendoza early, but he's pitched really well. Cone coming back and pitching well. And
he struggled a few outings ago, but I think those struggles are gone, right?
Yeah.
Look at this.
Hey, I said he was pure earlier. I'm talking about man's man. Obviously, David ain't going to tell you he's pure, but he is the type of guy that you love to be around. I mean, he lost his mother a couple years ago, has a tattoo over his heart of his mother. His son, Brandon, he has a tattoo on the arm. He's just a really caring guy. And when you talk about Babe Ruth and the guy that loved life but really cared about people, David Wells is a lot like that.
Now Holmes gets Jeffrey Hammonds to ground out to Scott Brocious. 1 down. let's head on over to Ravi.
Boomer Yankees have taken all 4 games with the Mariners this year, 3 of 4 against the very hot-hitting Rangers. They do have an awesome lineup. How about Lee Stevens, the straightaway center field? It's a free-for-all out there. Oh, he's safe. 7-5 now. The Mariners still with Heathcliff on the mound.
Oh, that slide down the center field, the knoll back there behind the center field wall. The A's and the Angels. Coming up after we're done here, Bob Carpenter. Joe Morgan on the call. Look forward to joining those gentlemen at the conclusion here, at which point the Yankees will be 30-9. 30-9.
Well, you don't play much better than that. You asked me that question, and you just can't play better than that. They're gonna, if they continue at that pace, shoot, they end up winning 120 ball games.
Well, except for that opening series in Anaheim, which was just a 2-game series, they have not lost a series since.
And you know, you talk about momentum in any game. Baseball is one of those things that you build momentum early and get to believing in yourself, and then get to believing in the guy next to you, and all of a sudden everybody on the ball club starts feeling good about things.
Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling to get that foul ball by Alomar.
And in New York, I think it's the greatest place to play baseball when you're going well, and the most horrible place to play baseball when you're going badly.
Well,
and you know,
Kenny Rogers would agree with you.
A lot of people
would agree with you.
Yes, sir. It takes a certain mentality to play here when things go bad. I mean, every paper from, shoot, like you say, from Connecticut down to Massachusetts carries it, and Jersey, and it's you're just under the microscope so much here. And then yet some guys like young Derek Jeter thrive in it. Paul O'Neill, Reggie.
He will. Chuck Knobloch. Alomar hits it to right field. Back. Gone.
As you see right there, you listen to all those boos. That's for Darren Holmes, just because he struggled so much this year.
I think they also boo Robbie. They've been booing him. He's now become a target of the boo birds just because, hey, he's on the opposition with whom we had a fight, and he, you know, embarrassed himself a couple years ago.
I only say that because when I was in the New York Mets, as we watch here, this is just a fastball, nothing fastball right there. We call it a BP fastball. And Robbie, for such a small guy, just generates really a lot of bat speed. But when I was with the Mets in 84 and 85, Chris, I struggled so much that I got booed every time I walked into the on-deck circle. And, I mean, it was horrible. And I one time broke out in almost hives and didn't even know why. But it was such a thing for a guy that had been tough mentally to experience just negativity all the time. And you know, they pound you when you're going badly. And I was really a half a player.
Whoa! Here's Palmeiro. Back. Gone.
Well, I hear some boos now, and I don't think
it's for Rafi.
No.
Well, with 5 more of these solo home runs, the Orioles can tie it up. Alomar hit his 4th, and Palmeiro has hit his 8th.
Well, remember the last pitch? Remember this, when catcher sets up inside, same spot, right down the middle of the plate. And as you say, the big league hitters, if you throw it down the middle, I don't care how hard you throw it around knee high to thigh high, they're going to hammer it. So he goes to the breaking ball.
Facing Joe Carter, who came in the game to pinch hit last time up. Bat for Harold Baines. Working high and away, 2-0.
They're chanting something around here.
They're chanting. I'm trying to figure out what it is.
I can't figure it out either.
Rivera up in the pen, and Joe really doesn't want to use him.
He won't use him in this situation. It's going to have to be where that time runs at the plate.
But they have 3 more solo home runs.
Right.
Speaking of Joe, he was in his office before the game, his brother Frank. Great to see him, obviously. Carter fouls it out of play.
Looking so well. 2 years ago, I saw Frank Torrey, and you knew he had a lot of problems, and that much documented heart operation that Joe talked about it with such emotion going through that World Series and dedicating that World Series to his brother Frank. And now Frank today out here all tan, looking great.
Looked good, looked real good. This one a little farther toward the foul pole, but
see, Joe's just exhibiting what happens when you don't play every day. I've never seen him hit the ball that way so often. Granted, he's getting older, but this is what happens when you start becoming a part-time player. You lose your timing, and it's so tough to get that timing back. Then you start fouling off pitches that you should hit.
A's at the Angels coming up. The Angels listened in. We'll be tuning in when we get done here in New York. Ripped by Carter. Oh, what a play by Jeter from his knees.
Whoa.
Safe. Oh, what a play by Derek Jeter.
Joe Carter's always been able to run. Played at Wichita State in college, but watch Derek Jeter on this play. I hope that we get him. No, we don't have a shot of him right there, but unbelievable quickness. You're going to see him coming to the picture here. 2 steps, dive, knocks the ball down, comes up, throws it, and actually put a lot on the ball to be going away from it. Almost threw him out, only Joe Carter's speed. But here we go. Look at him, play him in the hole. The ball's there. That ball was hit so hard, and he's able to actually dive and get his glove on the ball when it was by him.
Actually went past it. He got there so quickly, I think it hit him in the wrist. Jeff Reboulet came in the game, defensive purposes for Cal Ripken. Gets his first at bat. 9-4 game now.
Here you see this ball right here. What he does there, that's just a reaction play, Chris, and he did get past it, but obviously when you leave your feet, your glove is just going to be somewhere out there. You don't have the control over it as you have when you're on your feet, and he dove and extended as far as he could and made a great play, but almost made it a tremendous play. And I saw him shake his head almost like, boy, I should have made that play.
I like that.
The great ones do. They expect to make every play.
Two the count to Reboulet. Surhoff on deck. A's and Angels on deck for us. Darren Holmes really struggling here in the 9th inning. Well, hit pretty well to right field, but O'Neill is there, and now the Orioles will be down to their last down, 2 down. You know, so the Yankees, when they win tonight, that means they've won this 3-game series with Game 3 tomorrow night. That'll be since that 0-2 start, which meant they lost the series at Anaheim. It will be 13 series wins and 3 splits in the 16 that they've played. And Andy Pettitte will try to go for the sweep tomorrow night against Scotty Erickson. Then the Yankees have 3 at Boston, and then Boston comes here the following weekend. So that'll be very interesting.
I'm going to be tuned into those games because you're going to find out how good Boston is and how really good the Yankees are, because they're obviously the class in the division.
Well, they'll miss Pedro first time around. They will not get him the way that will work. They'll get him on the weekend in Yankee Stadium. This is Surhoff driving it a long way. Back, gone!
Joe will give him one more hitter. He'll give him one more hitter to try to get that third out, because he does not want Rivera in this ball game. There you see Mel Stottlemyre go to the bullpen and see how close he is. Generally what you do in the dugout, your pitching coach, you communicate with him as a manager and you say, listen, as we see Surhoff here, again, where's the pitch? A little bit better pitch, a little more down, but still over the heart of the plate, a breaking ball that didn't do anything. But to finish my thought, Chris, is the pitching coach, you tell the guy in the bullpen, just get loose. Just get loose a little bit. I don't want you hot. I just want you throwing. And then read the inning. And then they just go out there and he gets a little loose, gets a little warm, and then eventually he calls back and says, hey, you got to get hot. So now Rivera is getting warm to get coming to the ball game.
Underway in Anaheim, no score, bottom of the first, and Chris Boyle swings for this one at 0-2. So as poor night it's been for the Orioles, they do at least hit 3 home runs in 1 inning, which doesn't happen very often, but the Baltimore Orioles are about to lose their 23rd of their last 33 games, and the Yankees are about to up their mark to 30-9. Just warm up, as you say. Don't get hot, just get lukewarm.
Don't get too excited. Just loosen up a little bit.
Yeah, Darren Holmes will be embarrassed to take the handshakes too at the end of the inning, won't he?
Oh, he will. I mean, this is why this is such a tough game. We always say hills and valleys. You know, you're on the top of the hill one day and you're in the valley the next, and what you try to do is stay somewhere in between.
Well, at least he ends it with a flourish. So Holmes comes back with a strikeout. Irabu now 3-0. The Yankees are now 30-9. They're 13 ahead of the Orioles, and the news is spread again. The Yankees win it by the count of 9-6. Oakland, Anaheim coming up next with Bob Carpenter and Joe Morgan. For Ray Knight and all of us here in New York, I'm Chris Berman. Thanks for watching. It's been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, now out west.
Well, thank you, Chris, and we're just in time for the bottom of the first inning. Darren Erstad leads off for the Angels against a former Oriole, Mike Oquist, the Oakland right-hander. Erstad hitting.
This is the Jeep and Eagle post-game report, and it's brought to you, as always, by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer. There's only one Jeep, and it's only at your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer. Well, the Yankees continue to pound on the Baltimore Orioles in every way. 9-6 the final tonight. Darren Holmes made it a bit interesting with the 3 ninth-inning home runs, but Hideki Irabu wins it. He's 3-0. His ERA moves up a notch to 1.4. Jimmy Key gets hit early, and he takes the loss, his third, and he still has not won a game in the month of May. Hi, everybody. I'm Al Troutwick back in our studios down the hall from the Pete Sheehy Yankee Clubhouse. And the media sensation that last night's riot created here tonight was something of note before this game got going. But George Steinbrenner spoke to everyone. All the members of the media said while he may have disagreed with the suspensions, he wanted the teams to move on. Ray Miller and Joe Torre exchanged thoughts. Ray Miller apologized on behalf of his team. And the Orioles, who now have lost 7 straight games, have to deal with a situation that their pitcher last night put them in, where they have to basically defend him on the field, but not in the clubhouse, where they don't agree what he did. So the suspensions for Darryl Strawberry began tonight, and for Armando Benitez. Meanwhile, Tino Martinez missed this game tonight because of the bruise on his back, making it very difficult for him to move his right throwing arm. The Yankees started the pounding of the Baltimore Orioles in this one early, and that's exactly what you'd want to see from this team after last night's fisticuffs. It's the Discover Playback Payback as prepared by our own Michael Cooney in the truck. It's Derek Jeter in the first inning with a triple off of Jimmy Key. This guy has it zoned in. Chuck Knobloch comes all the way around to score, and the Yankees, after watching the Orioles put up a run in the first, come right back to tie it at 1. But they kept on coming. After getting a second run, Jorge Posada goes down the line. Wasn't sure it would stay fair, but it did. And it turned into a 2 RBI double off of Key. That gave the Yankees a 4-1 lead. In the third inning, with the bases empty, we focus on Hideki Irabu. B.J. Surhoff can't deal with that. We didn't see the best overpowering stuff from Irabu, but 6 1/3 worth of good. Derek Jeter's RBI double scored Chuck Knobloch. He had a single in between those two hits, so he'd have 2 at-bats later on to go for the cycle, but wouldn't get it. That made it a score of 5-1, and the Yankees needed these runs. In the 6th inning, Scott Brocious, a solo home run off of Jimmy Key. That made it 7-1 Yankees, and that was the game-winning run. Because, as we told you, the 3 home runs and 4 runs by the Orioles gave them 6 runs on the board. The final 9-6. Still to come, Michael Kay will come out of the Yankee clubhouse to file his report. But right now, we take you back for an update on what's going on elsewhere at the MSG Sports Desk.
Well, Al Troutwig, the Boston Red Sox, they've apparently gotten through their little swoon. Pedro Martinez went to the mound tonight, picked up his 5th win in the major leagues, in the American League, that is, against no losses Mo Vaughn. Homered save number 17 for Gordon. It was the Bo Sox with a 6-2 win over the Chicago White Sox. Checking the rest of tonight's American League scoreboard, it was Toronto with home runs from Canseco, Cruz Jr., and Gonzalez in a 9-1 romp of Tampa Bay. Speaking of romps, Kenny Lofton had a big night as the Indians beat up on Kansas City 14-5. Detroit and Minnesota, they got together and are still playing in Tiger Town. Slugfest there. Damian Easley with a home run. Detroit with an 11-9 lead in the 9th inning. More slugging going on deep down in Texas. A-Rod with a home run, his 18th of the year. Seattle and Texas tied at 7 in the 7th inning. One other American League game just underway. Mike Oquist going against Kenny Hill. Oakland tangling with Anaheim in Disneyland. Well, it's all over at Shea Stadium. The New York Mets go down to defeat after last night's doubleheader sweep. Reds come back, hang tough. They pick up an 8-6 win tonight out at Shea Stadium. Edgardo Alfonso had a chance to be a hero, but grounded into a double play with the Mets down 7-6 to end the home 8th inning. Elsewhere tonight in the National League, scoreboard looks like this. Doubleheader for San Diego and Pittsburgh, and a split. Pirates 5-2 in the opener, and the Buccos lose the nightcap by an 8-3 count. Arizona beat up on Sabsac, Florida tonight in Miami 7-3, the final in that one. Houston and Montreal, a tight one as usual between these two. Houston prevails tonight. Billy Wagner with the save in a 4-3 win. No home runs for Mark McGwire, but Ron Gant and Gary Gaetti had 2. St. Louis with an 8-5 win over Philadelphia. The Colorado Rockies, they couldn't touch Kevin Millwood and the Atlanta Braves. 5-1 the winner down at Turner Field. San Francisco leading Milwaukee in the 9th 4-2. Oral Hershiser helping his cause with an RBI base hit. And Kevin Tapney with a 3-hit shutout this afternoon as Chicago beat the Los Angeles Dodgers 5-0. We'll go back out to Yankee Stadium after these commercial messages.
9-6 the final score as we're back on the Jeep and Eagle postgame report. Hideki Irabu 3-0. Jimmy Key takes the loss. He's 4-3. Let's go inside the manager's office. Michael Kay visiting with Joe Torre. A little bit different than 24 hours ago.
Joe, do you like the way your team responded to all the controversy of the last couple of days?
Well, I think it helps playing in New York. I mean, of course, there was a little more involved in the last couple of days than normal, but there's normally something going on here, and I think it's just been, they're just in good habits of being focused, and the way we've been playing and winning games. It's I don't want to say automatic, but you get into such good habits that they're hard to break. Good for me anyway.
A couple of guys got hit in this game. Accidental?
Oh, sure. You could see Irabu just, I was happy he won the game. He had no command today. I mean, that pitch that he hit Brady with was a fastball that must have sailed about 2 feet, and he just had no command. The ball he tried to come in on Bordick, he missed his spot by about a foot. No, we're not. I mean, that's nuts. Our concern is winning games, and he's not about to do that.
How about Tim Raines? Seems like every night he gets big hits.
Tim Raines is a professional player, and he comes up in situations. It really helps when you're used to coming off the bench to hit in key situations. Get a couple of big base hits. He opened it up for us with the 2-run base hit in the last time up, or next to the last time up. It's it's a good club. It's a nice field. It's a good balance. Soho got his hit. I'm not sure when we get Intino back. Maybe a few days. So it's just nice to have a club that has been down the road before. I think that helps.
Time now for Michael Kay's Clubhouse Report, brought to you by the New York Marriott Marquis, Broadway's biggest hit. Michael Kay in our studios now, and George Steinbrenner was talking to everybody today. It's always fun to watch him work a room, and there was Derek Jeter standing in the back as George was talking to all the writers, and he said, "You tell him the way it is, boss man." I guess he feels pretty comfortable with himself.
He is very comfortable these days, and he's becoming more of a leader in the clubhouse as well. You really do see him grow up over these 3 years. He's been amazing. I think 15 games in a row he's hitting now.
He put a lot of extra buzz into this game, came to the plate twice with a chance to hit for the cycle.
And we'll talk to him later about what his thoughts were on that, but he did tell me he has not hit for the cycle since Little League.
Tim Raines said no, there's no carryover, from last night and all the adrenaline to that first inning. But it just seems so amazing that the Yankees could strike so hard against Jimmy Key early and not have some sort of carryover.
Well, I don't know if it's carryover. What really impressed me is that they didn't seem to be affected by it. They didn't seem tentative at the plate. They didn't seem too anxious. This is such a professional team. They seem to know what to do and how to do it, and they stay so even-keeled. They're almost like silent assassins. They just don't get too loud. They don't get too quiet. They just do their job. They really wear different kind of pinstripe suits, but they attack it like businessmen.
In the meantime, this was supposed to be one of the Yankees' biggest rivals in the American League East, and the Orioles you pointed it out, we showed it, Robbie Alomar not running out a ground ball, the little things that allow teams to win.
I am amazed at the way they play. Brady Anderson hit a fly ball to right field, and when Paul O'Neill caught the ball, Brady Anderson was halfway to first base. And there are some teams in baseball that run out everything, and that is a reflection of the organization and what the team feels about the game. The Minnesota Twins are not a good team. They run every single ball out to first base. The New York Yankees are a great team. They run every single ball out to first base. To see guys jogging to first, that's awful. I mean, it's an indictment of the team. And when you talk to guys on the team, I know you've been talking to them, and I've been talking to them. A couple of people have told me there's 13 free agents on this team, and all they care about are themselves.
The Orioles got 3 home runs in the 9th inning, and it just didn't matter. The Yankees had 9 runs. Now let's go back to the story of Derek Jeter. Mike, he's been hitting with power. He's been hitting to every field. He's been hitting inside pitches, outside pitches. Everything's working for him.
Well, it seems like it's a great matchup, he against Key, because Key tries to get you out if you're a right-handed batter. Outside corner, he just takes it the other way. And I asked Derek Jeter about going for the cycle today. Derek, were you aware of the fact that you were home run away from the cycle?
Yeah, you saw the last 2 at bats, didn't you?
So you were trying to hit it out?
Yeah, I was. That was what my problem was, trying to hit a home run.
Do you feel like you're locked in now, like you have been at no time this year?
WFU. Put that mic down a little. Thank you.
Thank you, WFU. Well, I've been having good at bats. I've been seeing the ball well. If you can stay back and hit off-speed pitches as well as fastballs, then I think you're kind of in a groove. So, I just try to take it day by day. Actually, I don't try to think about it too much.
Have you ever hit a cycle at any level?
I think in Little League. I was thinking about that. I think in Little League I did once.
So you wanted this one bad?
Yeah, I tried too hard, I think.
How's this team playing right now? It seems like even yesterday wasn't a distraction today. Is that accurate?
Well, we're playing well. I mean, it seemed like we were just getting all the breaks. We're hitting when we need to. We're getting timely hitting. We're playing good defense. Great pitching. Irabu pitched another great game. So, anytime you have that combination, you're going to be successful.
It's going to be tough not to get overconfident, Derek?
I don't think so. I think you can be very confident without being cocky. I don't think our team is cocky. We go out there, we feel like we can win every game, and, we're very confident. I think that helps.
About the focusing,
If you notice, the reporter from Michael Kay's alma mater got a little lesson in clubhouse lineage with the microphone there.
Some rude people in there today. Get that mic down, FUV.
And Derek Jeter, he's just cool in every respect. Guys never admit that they were trying to hit a home run, and there he is admitting he did it twice.
You know what's amazing about Jeter, and I don't know if he said this to you yet, but you see him grow as a player. And this year in spring training, he came up to me and he said, I just want you to know that I'm going to be a better interview this year. I haven't been giving it my all. And he's so much of a better interview. He's improved in every aspect of his game. He's amazing.
You see him in the offseason. He takes a few swings, then goes into the house in front of the mirror and practices answering. All right, meanwhile, last night, New York was watching Graham Lloyd dive into the entire fracas and try to challenge Armando Benitez after he had drilled Tino Martinez. As a result, the fans saw their new matinee idol. He was a huge hit when he came into the ball game in the 7th inning with 2 outs, and we're going to listen to how the New York Yankee fans. We're going to show you what he did, first of all, in the 7th inning, coming in, getting the job done. Getting Rafael Palmeiro with a soft fly ball to left field.
And then he has to face Joe Carter, who's pinch hitting for Harold Baines, and he's got a cutter now that makes him effective to righties, and that one was out on the outside part of the plate, a backdoor slider, and he got him to pop up to right.
Another easy fly ball, and a huge ovation for Graham Lloyd. That was even small compared to the ovation that greeted him when he came into the ball game, just first step out of the bullpen in left center field.
How about George Steinbrenner before the game today, telling everyone that would listen that Graham Lloyd used to play Australian rules football, and you know that's a very tough sport. So
Right.
Graham Lloyd becoming a cult hero in New York.
Let's go into the locker room now. Once again, this is Michael Kay's conversation with Graham Lloyd.
Graham, are you afraid that you might be becoming a cult hero in New York?
Why would I be afraid of that?
Was that a pretty nice feeling jogging into that ovation?
It was very nice. It's not reminiscent of when I first came to New York, that you might not say.
Now what do we talk about?
You know what's great about
I
him?
know what we have to talk about. The suspensions are one thing, but what about the fines? Do we know what they were?
We know what they were, and I'm going to spring it to you. I was asking around trying to find out, because you figure they're going to be significant, because you want these people to really feel it, really want to hurt.
5 or 10,000.
Well, no. Don't even guess, because you'll be shocked. The suspension fines, and now you do get paid during a suspension, which is ludicrous in itself, but Darryl Strawberry and Graham Lloyd were fined $1,000. And Jeff Nelson was fined $500. And we think, we're not for sure, but we think that Benitez was fined $3,000 and Alan Mills was fined $500. I don't know how they're going to eat. I mean, that is really going to stick it to them.
I can't believe
it. All comes down to the union. If you fine them too much, there's going to be a grievance and you'll probably lose.
Wait a minute. They filed a grievance against a guy who could have maybe, irreparably injured another player who's in that same union.
You know, George Steinbrenner brought up a great point today when he was talking to the media, and he brought up almost that same point. He said what they should have done to Benitez was suspend him for 30 days. He said it would have been very interesting to see if the union would have appealed, because Benitez was being suspended because he almost killed a guy from the union. So what does the union do in that sense? I think they still would have appealed.
And Mike, the thing that bothers me about it is, A, he did it twice. And B, this is not a guy who has lived off great control. His control has been a problem, and he throws the ball as hard as he does. That close to Tino Martinez with maybe, this much margin for error?
Well,
that's not enough for me.
I really think, Al, and I truly believe this, that nothing is going to be done tomorrow, and I was pretty sure nothing would be done today. Irabu said to me just before that he was warned. So the pitch that hit Brady Anderson was totally just a lack of control. Yankees will pay them back, and the Yankees said that almost to a man in the clubhouse before the game, that this is not over. They will not forget this.
And yet the best way to deal with this team is just pound them into defeat like they did tonight.
Well, they've done that, but I don't think they think that's enough, because Tino Martinez, Joe Torre said, will probably be out a couple more days. They've got to get the swelling down. The x-rays were negative, but he's got a big, big bolt between his shoulders, and it's going to affect his throwing. And, this guy is arguably the best player on the Yankees and their top run producer, and this team will not forget that Tino Martinez was drilled for what they feel is absolutely no reason. And the impressive thing is, most of the Oriole players felt the same way. Because
of last night's fight, I had some fun earlier in the broadcast with the Colonial Little League in New Jersey. I'm sorry, I was only kidding. They had some problems there. And
why do you do this?
It's America's #1 Little League. It really is. Colonia, New Jersey, #1. When we come back, Hideki Irabu's night. Not his best stuff, but enough to get a win. 3-0 is his record. 9-6 is the final score.
The world is at your fingertips, and so is Globe Motor Car. World-class styling just around the corner. Come in and experience the all-new Globe Motor Car with our newly expanded showroom, sales, and service center. Let us work with you to find the best deals now. Whatever your style, when it comes to Mercedes, Globe Motor Car makes a world of difference. Located just 3 miles west of Willowbrook Mall, 1230 Bloomfield Avenue, Fairfield, 227-3600.
McDonald's is going wild over the opening of Disney's Animal Kingdom, Disney's most adventurous theme park ever, and so will you. The adventure starts with the wild, tangy taste of our McRib sandwich. Juicy, tender, and smothered in sassy barbecue sauce. But hurry, the McRib will be gone before you know it.
Honey, it's for you. Did somebody say McDonald's?
There's a big cover-up performed by millions of people every day. People who have ugly nail fungus. It turns nails' colors, makes them thick or brittle. but now you may be able to go barefoot without embarrassment. With more beautiful nails, healthier, clearer nails. You see, nail fungus lives deep under the nail at the base. That's why it's so hard to get rid of. But by calling this number now, you'll receive a free video and learn how it may be possible to get beautiful, healthy nails back. Because today, your doctor has effective treatments that attack the fungus right where it lives. So call to uncover the truth about nail fungus and get your free video on nail care and treatments. The sooner you call, the sooner you may be able to go barefoot without embarrassment.
You have been watching the Jeep and Eagle post-game report, brought to you by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer. There's only one Jeep, and it's only at your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer.
Back on MSG, the Yankees continue to roll. They beat the Baltimore Orioles deeper into last place in the American League East, 9-6. Hideki Irabu goes 6 1/3. Didn't seem to have all his pitches the way we've seen in his prior 5 starts, and he does allow another earned run, and that's double what he's allowed in any of his other starts. Here's Brady Anderson, the second of the Orioles that he hit tonight, but nothing like last night after the hits. There just was no intent that was as obvious as last night. Here's what Hideki Irabu, through his interpreter George Rose, was saying to Michael Kay.
Was he worried that when he hit Brady Anderson, they would think that he was throwing at Anderson?
アンダーソンにぶつけた時にわざとだと思われるのかという心配あったのか。そうですね。まあそのゲーム前からちょっとしたそういう意味での緊迫感っていうのがあったんでね。決してわざとじゃないし。Yeah, you know, we talked about that before the game and everything, and you know, I was aware of that, and you know, it definitely wasn't intentional. So.
Is he happy with finally getting a lot of run support?
今点数のサポートがあって嬉しいか。もうそれは。Yes. Yes.
Michael getting the English from Hideki Irabu.
Yes, you can get out of him.
So what did you think we saw? Just one of those starts where he didn't have his best stuff and was able to pitch through a little adversity? I thought that was one of the good things. You got to see how he handled these situations in a much better season than last.
Well, this is the first time this year that he has not had great command. I think he still had decent stuff, but he was way outside. The splitter was in the dirt rather than, you know, being caught low. And I think it's impressive that, you know, this is a pretty good hitting team, the Orioles, and, you know, you don't give up the game. You just keep yourself in it, and that's why he's different than he was last year.
So, Mike, let's go back to the suspensions for a moment. What did you think about the way they balance out?
Well, I think the Yankees, ironically enough, get hurt more than the Orioles.
Right.
Because of the way it breaks down. Graham Lloyd is really needed against the Red Sox because he can combat Mo Vaughn maybe in the 6th inning. Well, he's not there. And Jeff Nelson really hurts the Yankees if you lose him in the last 2 games in Chicago, because he's so effective against Bell and Thomas, 2 right-handers. So the way it breaks down, other than the Strawberry one, although Strawberry might hurt in the first game in Boston, he's great against knuckleballers, and he'll have to sit against Wakefield. He wouldn't have started tonight, so it really was a 2-game suspension of Strawberry, and you have Tim Raines. But the way it breaks down with the 2 pitchers, it does hurt the Yankees more than it hurts the Orioles.
And I think Benitez should be out until Tino Martinez is healthy and available to play. Yes, it's an 8-game suspension, but it is going to also include the number of games that Tino Martinez misses. What do you think about that?
I think that's a pretty good way to look at it, but you know, there's so many conspiracy theories then, though, that you don't know exactly if they suspend other people like that, they might keep people out of games longer before they start suspensions. But one thing that was pretty interesting is one of the Orioles told me, without naming him, he said, you know, things like that, if you hate somebody that much, he said, why do it out on the field? Let's go underneath the tunnel and go. He says, unless you do that, then you really don't want to get at somebody anyway. And a lot of the Orioles felt that actually Darryl cheap-shotted Benitez, and Alan Mills did not cheap-shot Darryl, but Darryl felt that Alan Mills cheap-shotted him. So, you know, words, and it's going to be interesting when the Yankees go to Camden Yards.
Don't like to see what happened last night, but these are fun days with all the media here and George and everything going on as only it can happen in this place.
Perfect game, brawl, and the Yankees just kicked butt today, and it's been the sort of a homestand for the Yankees. They've played impressive baseball.
All right, we're wrapping things up with Michael Kay. I'm Al Troutwig. Thanks for joining us for this edition of the Jeep and Eagle post-game report. The Yankees have taken these 2 from Baltimore. Tonight they got 9 and the Orioles got 6, including 3 ninth-inning home runs with which made it interesting but not nearly decisive. Now, the Yankees will be back with the Orioles tomorrow on the WB11, and they'll carry you through the weekend series with Boston, and then Sunday we'll be back with you in the afternoon from Fenway Park. Coming up next, the MSG Sports Desk recap of the day's events. And then at midnight, Michael Kay will have a conversation with Derek Jeter. It's all part of Fox Sports News coverage of today's Day in Sports. Derek Jeter with a double, a triple, and a single twice. Went for the cycle, didn't get it. Meanwhile, the Orioles, it's all going wrong. 1 for 10 they hit tonight with runners in scoring position. Jorge Posada with a launch down the line and right, and Hideki Irabu with his third.